Marty Atkins. First of all, way back in game number 1 in 1989, Stan Magro was the coach of the Bulldogs, while today the man who's in charge of South Fremantle, of course, is John Northey. This is what both had to say in tribute to Marty Atkins' milestone today at Bassendean Oval.
Marty, congratulations, mate. I believe you're playing your 250th game, and as one of your earlier coaches, I'm quite amazed that a Pommy soccer player who couldn't mark and couldn't kick and only learnt the game very late has done a marvellous job, mate. You've been a great stalwart at South Fremantle. You've got a life member down there. Congratulations, well done.
Well, Marty, I'd like to congratulate you on your 250th game today. I think it's a wonderful achievement. You've probably had your ups and downs throughout your football life and worked very, very hard at it. But to achieve 250 games, I think it's a marvellous effort. Not only that, with your great leadership on the ground and off the ground. And for the future, I just wish you all the very, very best.
I remember when I played on him, every time he went for the ball, he was always trying to get that soccer boot in, and today was no different. I think he ended up with a couple off the ground.
You played on him? I did indeed. Oh, I thought you were a bit older than that, mate. Maybe he's a bit older.
Last time I talked to you.
Yes.
It gives you an idea of just how long ago Marty Atkins played, because no one can remember the career of Rod Willett. 1989 was the first game for Marty Atkins. Joining me in commentary today, Phil Lamb and Wayne Blackwell. And before we discuss the relative merits of both teams today, Wayne, that is a tremendous achievement. And as I said in the opening, you wonder how many more players in the future will play 250 WAFL games.
Well, I think you've hit it on the head, Glenn. I don't think... I think that's a record that'll stand for many years to come. But that's not saying... I mean, records are there to be broken, and we were having a bit of a discussion about it earlier, and somewhere down the track, maybe many moons away, you might get somebody that'll spend a lot of time here in the WAFL. But it's a large commitment, I suppose, to play WAFL football. You would have to break that record, play for 15 years, and these days other things take over players' responsibilities, like family and work, and the rewards just aren't there in the WAFL competition.
Well, it certainly is a terrific achievement, and as we heard, he did start his career way back in 1989. It's been a highly decorated career, Phil. 6 state games, a Simpson medal against South Australia. He's the club captain at the moment and did play in the premiership back in 1997.
Yes, he's done all of that, Glenn, and I think the other thing, and perhaps the best characteristic about him, is the way that he goes about his footy, and John Northey alluded to it just a moment ago, that he's got great leadership qualities. Sometimes things don't go all that well for Marty. He has his bad days, and I think we've said before, when Marty has a bad day, you don't see many like it, but he just never stops trying and leads from the front, and whether or not it's a good day for him or not, he puts the team first, and he will today again, I'm sure.
Well, a few moments ago, both teams were down in the rooms preparing for this afternoon's encounter. It is a game, of course, which is very important to Swan Districts. They'd really find out today just where they actually stand in the competition. Speaking about veterans, this man, Travis Edmonds, maybe he'll get to 250 games. Today, he'll be lining up for game number 212. Michael Johnson just doing some stretching down in the rooms here at Bassendean Oval. Swan Districts. A draw against East Perth, that's a terrific performance in round 1 against the triple defending champion. But here, this is a real litmus test just to see where Swan Districts are at. As we said, both clubs in the last fortnight have each played Peel and Perth in alternate weeks. There is the man of the moment, Marty Atkins. We'll be hearing from him in an interview I recorded with him earlier this week down at the Rockingham Police Station, where he's employed. Kieran Ugal, delisted after the end of the last AFL season, did play 4 games with the Fremantle Dockers. Some close quarter drills down in the rooms. The Bulldogs up against a team which has come off the bye. Just wonder too how that will actually affect Swan Districts. I'm not sure that Steve Turner would have really liked a bye, given the fact that they'd started the season in such great form. And a short time ago, this was the banner through which Marty Atkins broke. Our hero, simply the best, 250 games. Interestingly, South Fremantle, a team that's been around for so long, the games record holder, Tom Grilisic, his total is only 258. Now, we think of a lot of other clubs that have 300-game veterans like Swan Districts and Bill Walker. So if he stays fit and healthy for the remainder of the year, before the end of the home and away season, Marty Atkins will post another milestone. He will be the games record holder in the history of the South Fremantle Football Club. So a terrific effort by Marty Atkins, and we wish him all the best this afternoon. Their opponents, of course, is Swan Districts. Wayne Blackwell, what can you tell us about the lineup that is at the disposal of Steve Turner, the lineup which has served Swan so well in the opening 3 rounds, where they've recorded 2 wins and a draw?
Well, they have, and they've had some good inclusions into the side this year. They've got the Casson brothers, and the 1997 centre medalist Brady Anderson has really made a real impact at Swan Districts this year. Also, young Hanson, who we saw a bit of last year at centre half forward. He's an improving player, and certainly he would like to move up into AFL ranks, and he just needs to improve his performances here. But across the board, I think they're starting to get, I suppose, a little bit more talent with that experienced group of players that they've had for many years.
Well, South Fremantle, their opponent today, they started with an opening round derby win against East Fremantle, as we said. The last 2 weeks, wins over Perth and Peel.
Yes, they've looked pretty slick, and last week in inclement weather, they found the going pretty tough against Peel Thunderers, particularly in the first half. But after that, some of their real stars, Jones, a youngster on the centre wing, was terrific. Surgeon on the other wing, young players gave them a lot of drive and quite a bit of speed. Burns, a prolific ball winner in the middle of the ground, and they were able to provide enough opportunities for their forwards to kick what was a pretty handsome winning score in the end. But we know that South Fremantle today, missing Zane Parsons, he's a late withdrawal with a bit of a leg problem. They will miss him, and there's probably 4 or 5, maybe even 6 goals there that they have to find from somewhere else, Glenn.
Well, maybe a day for the big men if the weather holds off. Paul Johnson doing his best to dislodge the behind post down at the Midland end of the ground. He's on the West Coast Eagles list, a youngster recruited from the Dandenong under-18s. He's certainly going to provide them with a large target up forward, Wayne Blackwell.
Yeah, he certainly is, and a player that West Coast didn't think that they would actually have as he was left in the draft, and when it came round to their selection, were able to pick him up. Big, strong lad, and has been performing very well for Swans in the first 3 games.
Well, we go from a big, strong lad in Paul Johnson down to a rather featherweight boundary rider. Rod Willett, good afternoon.
At least I was quick though, Glenn. Too quick for the likes of Phil Lamb and Wayne Blackwell. But a great game today. It looks as though it's going to be 25 degrees, southeasterly wind. So I don't know whether it actually will get any rain at all, but very humid down here at the moment. And this is, like you said, Glenn, a really good chance for Swan District to really find out where they're at the moment. They've played, I think, Perth and Peel, and East Perth, but really a chance for them to atone. I know when we used to come up here a long time ago and play football, you know, Swan Districts were actually feared to come up here and play on this oval. It was really feared by the other clubs to actually come up here. And the last couple of years, I think they've been a bit of the whipping boys of the competition. So a good chance for them to come out, really prove themselves and set the season up for Swan Districts to have a good year. But I think South Fremantle may be just too strong and too experienced for young Swans with 9 new players from last year.
Rod Willett on the boundary line. He'll be keeping us fully up to date as the game unfolds. Marty Atkins maybe has some nerves, even though he's done this 249 prior times. Not a bad crowd out here, and let's hope that the weather does hold at Bassendean Oval this afternoon. I guess the big question is, how much has Swan Districts improved? I know that they did draw with East Perth, but it was the season opener. It was in Busselton, so a foreign venue for both clubs. Peel and Perth, their last 2 victories. You wouldn't expect that those teams will be thereabouts at the end of the home and away season. What sort of opposition will they provide for South Fremantle today, gentlemen?
Well, I think, Phil, it'll be a terrific test for them. Certainly both teams have played both Peel and Perth and have had comfortable wins. It'll be a measuring stick, and I think Steve Turner wouldn't be expecting too much. I mean, he'd be pretty happy with the position that they're currently in, but it's a barometer today. I think he'll be rating South Fremantle as probably a finals contender, and he'll be using today's game as a barometer up against probably a potential finalist.
And also both clubs have got new players to their team, into their teams this year, and I think just across the board they look slightly stronger, both of the teams, and certainly Swan Districts in their opening matches. I mean, they've won 2.5 matches, and there's Brady Anderson, of course, giving them a lot more pace and just experience and physical presence across the middle of the ground. A few inclusions into both lineups has just made them look a bit slicker, and I think you're right, Glenn, notwithstanding that they've both beaten probably questionable opponents in Perth and Peel so far, with all due respect to those teams. Today is going to be the litmus test for both of them.
Glenn Waters there, number 20, Drew Slater, number 35, Slater, of course, a very famous name out here towards the Swan Valley. Keith Slater, an outstanding premiership ruckman, multiple premiership ruckman, Simpson medalist, and also a test cricketer, but no relation to Drew Slater, who's got the ball tucked under his arm. Clint Hampson, who'll probably get a job down back today, the joint winner of the best and fairest last year. He tied with number 34 in the foreground, Dwayne Griffin. Shane Barros, always hard at the ball, and we'll see a lot of him in and under when the umpire calls for a bounce. More often than not, Shane Barros will be the last man off the ground to hand the umpire the football. Jacob Surgeon, a young man making his early stage presence felt in the WAFL. But Swans, as we said, coming off the bye, just wonder whether that would be a bit of a hiccup, Wayne, the fact that they started with such tremendous vigour, a draw, then 2 wins, and for a team that was well, 1 win and 17 losses last year, that the last thing they probably wanted was to put their feet up for 13 days.
I don't think any coach likes having a bye in the early stages of the home and away games, Glenn. Maybe a little different when you're 2/3 into a season and you've had a pretty hard number of home and away games and you're looking for a bit of a respite for your players to get over some niggling injuries. But the momentum has certainly been there with Swans, and Steve Turner, I think, no, he wouldn't have appreciated it, but you get to see a little more of your family over those breaks, though, Glenn.
Toss of the coin.
Yes, it is.
Marty Atkins draws first blood for the Bulldogs, points over his right shoulder and to the right of screen, the Bassendean end in the opening quarter. That will be the goal that South Fremantle will be attacking. Swan Districts, a percentage of 156, so the 2 wins they've had have been substantial, and South Fremantle 3 wins, their percentage 152, which underlines the fact that both teams have been in not just winning form, but in dominant form. They've won their matches pretty comfortably. Jeff Gallop, the Premier of Western Australia, looking on. And he'll be hoping to see a tight-fought contest. To his right is Rick Glody, South Fremantle president. South Fremantle bonding tight at the moment. So too Swan Districts at the other end of the ground. Ricky Mott, number 25, somewhat, well, surprisingly, Phil, delisted at the end of last season by Sydney, and perhaps even more surprisingly, not picked up in the draft. He's currently a rookie with Fremantle, but a man who played 17 games last year in the Sydney Swans and virtually shouldered their ruck responsibilities for the bulk of the season. Now on a rookie list.
I think a lot of people have forgotten that he played 17 games, Glenn, and a lot of people probably remember one goal that he missed more than his 17 games. But look, he may get another chance. He's on the rookie list, and you can see that his physical, the stature within the South Fremantle team. I saw him play last week against Peel Thunder. He's one of the ruckmen, having had the AFL experience he's got in the WAFL. He's going to be very hard to ruck against, Blackie, and he takes marks around the grounds as well, which makes him a valuable player.
Let's have a look at the 2 curtain raiser scores today. I'm not sure that Wayne Blackwell wants to look at the first because his son put in a very good game for Swan Districts today, but alas, he didn't have enough support. South Fremantle, big winners in the Colts, 119 points. We won't say any more about that, Blackie. We might just move straight on to the reserve score, I think, just to try and keep you happy for the rest of the day. The reserves game, the immediate curtain raiser, Swan Districts making it 1-1 on the day, winning by 39 points over South Fremantle. There's Ashley Hansen. And there is Marty Atkins. Game number 250. He's already had a minor psychological win, calling the right way with the toss in the centre of the ground. Marty Atkins this year has been used up forward. He's not shouldering responsibility down back as he has done, but at the moment he's in the centre square and maybe starting the game actually as the lead ruckman.
When you consider that they've got Adam Hay and also Ricky Mott, I think it's just an indication that they're going to get Marty just getting the ball rolling for his team this afternoon.
Is that nerves, do you think? Get him in there, get him a touch early?
Well, it may well be. It's strange, I guess, Rod, to think of a player doing it for the 250th time, but no doubt there would be some butterflies in the stomach, and he's getting the opportunity. He's not a tall man, but traditionally he's had a very good vertical leap, and again he shows it, has the better of Stockton. Hand pass comes then back from Byrne towards Clucas. The kick, as you can hear from the umpire, was touched off the boot. South Fremantle fighting against weight of numbers, but they earn the free kick. Going against Kestel. Not much doubt about it. He just ploughed straight into the back of Daniel Gilmore. We mentioned that Ricky Mott is on the Fremantle rookie list. So too Daniel Gilmore. He impressed everyone last year in his debut season. A left footer and an opportunity here to get South Fremantle not only on the board but open their scoring with a goal. The wind shouldn't be a big factor for the players to contend with out at Bassendean this afternoon. He should cover the distance, although he gets considerably underneath it. It does carry the line, and more importantly, it carries the line straight. A goal to South Fremantle, 1 minute and 5 seconds into the first term.
Well, a good start by South, and certainly a good tap by Marty Atkins. I mean, and that's the benefit of being in front. South coming off the line there and being able to the South player gaining possession, being able to feed out a hand pass to Matty Clucas, and no finessing, just pushing the ball forward into the inside 50, and Gilmore able to get his body over the ball and earn the free kick.
Can Marty Atkins do it again? There's Daniel Gilmore. Terrific game last week, and of course one of Fremantle's rookie listed players. Atkins opposed to Paul Stockton for Swan Districts. This bounce favours Marty Atkins, who palms it down beautifully to Clucas. So that combination, 1 and 2, Atkins to Clucas, and Clucas drives it to centre half forward. That's a great saving mark down there. Excellent mark by Kestel. So confidence builder for him and for Swan Districts. He goes out wide. Ugle doing the punching. Chance there for Swan Districts if they're good enough to drive the ball away. Beros is out there, does well, Beros, along the boundary line, and well, should have found a teammate there. That was an easy mark dropped. And Liam Casson, who with his brother Damien have come across from West Perth and bolstered Swan Districts. They're a couple of the players that I was talking about pre-match who have just slotted in and strengthened the fibre of this Swan District side. Atkins again winning the knock. Clucas may be held without it. He was. The umpire was right on the scene. So warm human conditions here at Bassendean Oval this afternoon, and already Clucas right in the thick of things.
Three early touches, yes, Phil. A good start by Clucas.
Injured in the match last week against Peel Thunder, but fortunately he has recovered. Now there's a player, Swan District's player has been felled behind the play. There he is. Slater is the player, Drew Slater. Swan Districts are going to get the benefit of a free kick, and it's going to go back to the outer side of the ground and be taken by Beros. And
I would think it is against Andrew Seagate on that occasion, Phil.
Now, that's interesting. It doesn't appear to have been a report. Now, when it happens that far off the ball...
Yes, he's actually writing something.
Yes, he is writing something behind play now.
So perhaps Seagate's name going into the book. Rod Willett, of course, will be policing that. Hanson on the end of the pass. That's good football. Hanson an early touch. That'll build his confidence. He goes looking for Edmonds. Knocked away from him to Puamanda Merry. Got a hand to it. Now North. Hand pass goes out wide. South Fremantle going forward up towards centre half forward. The kick there came from Mamato. Swan Districts were leading the race for the footy. That was Wes Kester, but Gilmore now a little bit too fleet of foot for him. Got the hand pass away to Bootsma onto the right boot, directs it up toward full forward, and a very good mark. Strong hands coming out. And we talked about Ricky Mott. He is strong-bodied, and on that occasion, strong overhead as well. Chance for South Fremantle to bring up their second. Mott will shoot from about 45 metres.
Well played, Daniel Gilmore, to go past Wes Kessel in that, running that ball down, Phil. Managed to get past him. And was it Wes or...?
We saw Drew Slater coming to the bench. He was the one that was collected.
Okay.
Now Mott. Great shot as the camera's behind him, slightly off the side of the boot. And Ricky Mott, well, kicking a goal hasn't really been his strength, but certainly some good signs with him up in front of goals is going to give them a lot of marking power. South Fremantle up forward.
As I was saying, well played by Daniel Gilmore to get his body eventually in front to gain possession and feed out a terrific hand pass to Bootsma.
Johnson in short. Munro, the West Coast Eagle, will check with Rod Willett at quarter time. We'll get Rod to check, but that's not what the Fremantle Dockers need. If Seagate has been reported. Off hands and a high left footer by Jones, but it lands in the waiting arms of Swan District's player back there, Munro. He uses the ball beautifully towards his skipper, Cornelius, at centre half back. Swan's players breaking down the outer wing, but they opt to come back members side. The hand pass to Corsi, who rides a solid bump from Tapuamanda Merry. A high kick towards half forward. Clucas, as he grabbed high, the umpire says he threw the ball. And a free kick going against Matty Clucas. And Ashley Hanson, whose father, Clark, a former sports broadcaster with the ABC in Melbourne. He goes inside the attacking 50. Chance back there for Eads. Gets a hand pass away to Beros. South's desperate in defence. And
free kick.
A high tackle is going against Marty Atkins, I think, is at the bottom of the pack. And Atkins has given away a high tackle, and the free kick going to Beros. So we said pre-game, more often than not, if there's a pack developed, Beros will be at the bottom of it. And on that occasion, he was there, and he earned a high tackle. Swans need this for a bit of confidence. They haven't really looked like scoring in the opening 6 minutes. It conceded 1-1 at the other end of the ground. Beros, slide angle, 30 metres out. Umpire makes ground, and he's missed. That is a bad miss by Shane Beros. Swans open their account, but trail by a goal.
And certainly was a bad miss. And looking at the soccer there doesn't seem to be a great advantage, probably slightly towards South's end.
So the ball brought back into play, looking there for the youngster Jones. I think it was, and he did very, very well. The Tinsley kick wasn't a bad one for him, but he was under a lot of pressure. He goes laterally to the half-back flank and finds Hutchison, one of South Fremantle's very good players last week, up toward the wing, looking there for Byrne. The two number 5s going at it, neither coming out on top. Beros, another touch. Got it to Glenn Waters. He wheels the hand pass inboard. Swan District's player. Well, stood up in the tackle very, very well. Got the kick away. It might have been Hampson, I think. In fact, it was Stockton. Now the deflection goes out towards Glenn Waters, who's followed the ball down. But his right foot kick, not a very good effort at all. Much to the dismay of those in the McDonald's stand. Another opportunity gone begging for Swan Districts, and that one was a real shocker.
Yeah, well, quite amazing. He is a left footer, and I thought he had plenty of time, Phil, to actually get onto that left and have a shot for goal.
Elected to go with the right. Didn't quite work out. Edmonds doing some ruck work. Tinsley with him. Edmonds palms it down beautifully. Well, he palmed it to the right spot, but Hutchison got there first. North got a hand pass into the goal square. South Fremantle under a lot of pressure. Graham was there. Is there a Swan District's boot? There isn't. Eventually, the South Fremantle players, Galt and Graham, were desperate enough to force the ball through for a rush behind.
Yeah, desperate play in the goal square. And
that was risky.
I just think that the Swans player, I think it might have been Cornelius, should have probably just socketed off the ground rather than try to attempt to pick the ball up.
Sean Tinsley to bring the ball back into play. He splits the middle with Bassendean Oval. Powerful kick makes its way to the centre square. Taking his eyes off the ball, Seagate. Paul Johnson soccers it forward for Swan Districts. Cornelius goes to ground. Got a couple to beat. Ugle dived over the footy. There's Beros in there, using his strength. Still a chance for Swans. Of course, he doesn't have the hand pass bounce favourably for him. Bit of a push in the shove now to Puamantameri by Handy Ugle, the former Fremantle docker. Comes Members' side. Off the pack, opportunity here for Gilmore. Started the game well. This is Byrne, formerly of Adelaide, and did captain Glenelg in the SANFL. He kicks up towards half forward. Almost an opportunity back there for South Fremantle's through Ryan Webb. But Swans are able to clear. Munro cleverly around the body. Found a teammate in Damien Casson. Back to Stockton. They concede ground to Munro. Crisscrossing the ground at the moment. This is the other Casson brother, Liam, who has it at right half-back. He's told to play on. Not much on offer down the wing, so he just opts to bomb it long. South Fremantle best position, and Seagate marks on the centre line.
Seagate with a short pass. Marty Atkins, game number 250. Been doing very well in the ruck in the opening part of this match. Gets it on towards Gilmore. Now he's outside of 50, but he's a long kick is Daniel Gilmore. This one goes into the pocket. Swan Districts do very well overhead. Bring the ball down toward the boundary line. The punch was affected there by Michael Johnson, and the ball in fact crossed over the white line. Brad Bootsma was off and running at goal, but the boundary umpire right on the scene. So about 15 metres around from South Fremantle's goal. Over the top came Kelderman, put a fist into it. Gilmore was there again, and Gilmore, well, that tackle just slipped out. That was unfortunate, but Liam Casson, the player who will get the benefit of the free kick, and that was quite blatant.
Started well, Daniel Gilmore for South.
Certainly is a live wire. He and Munro, that'll be a good duel out there today. Looking for De Courcy. De Courcy still in the action. To Puamantameri did very well. Got the hand pass out to North. Now North with the backup of Marty Atkins. Long kick up toward full forward. Mott ran too far underneath it. Here's Munro again. He's very clean with his hands and clever with his footwork. And that's no exception. He goes out and finds Casson once again. So Damien Casson, short, and he finds Stockton. A couple of former West Perth players there, Casson and Stockton. Short again to Cornelius. Well, he's been a stalwart, so black and white. Gets it on to Casson once more. So Damien Casson long to centre half forward. Good strong hands out there. Here's De Courcy. Long kick from De Courcy. That one he was intending to bend back. Johnson was down there. Couldn't quite take it. Tries to hack the ball off the ground. Hanson's there. He's coming up a goal as Edmonds got it out to Glenn Waters. Well, he might have missed the last one. But with either foot on that occasion, Glenn Waters right on the goal line wasn't going to miss that opportunity.
Well, he actually kicked that with his left and
didn't need to.
Yeah, only a metre out from goal, but good play by Swans. Certainly Kane Munro in defence, as you mentioned, just clean with his hands in the air and also at ground level. Was able to scoot the ball out of in a tight situation to a teammate. And they had numbers out on the wing here, Phil. We actually looked down and we could see two players. They could have raffled it. And in the end, of course, he had a flying shot. But good play by Swans to keep the ball in the forward line, knock it out, keep the ball alive, created that goal for Waters.
Swan Districts in front for the first time today. 11 minutes into the opening quarter, a shocking bounce. It goes out wide to the outer wing. Kieran Ugle, in fact, gets there and then puts South Fremantle down the corridor, presenting himself and taking the chest mark is Bootsma. Well, that was an awful bounce in the middle. The umpire thrust it into the turf and it went square out towards the outer wing, and Ugle steaming in, able to gather under virtually no pressure. And Bootsma leading from the goal square is marked on his chest. An opportunity here for the Bulldogs to wrest back the lead. 12 minutes into the opening term. The kick starts right and drifts further right. So all he manages to do in the end is level the scores at 1 goal, 2 apiece.
Well, the conditions, Wayne, couldn't get much better for kicking, and you'd expect Brad Bootsma to perhaps do a bit better.
Well, there's no breeze out there at all, really. You look at the sock, it's officially heading down towards the ground. So a couple of bad misses by both teams.
Saw Drew Slater there warming up on the bench. The kick in from Swan District's very poor. Bootsma gets in the way. This time he elects not to shoot at goal, but go with a short pass. Rubbing the back of his head there is Beros. That may tell its own story, but Byrne it is, the player with the football. He's marked only about 20 metres out and almost directly in front.
Well, it's a fine line, isn't it, when you kick in? You've got to make sure that if you're going to pass directly to a teammate, he's got plenty of time before an opponent gets in and provides the contest. On that occasion, there wasn't.
Experienced footballer from South Australia. And what a pickup he has been for South Fremantle in their opening 3 matches this year. Makes no mistake, South Fremantle, after a terrible error by Swan Districts in the last line of defence, have capitalised in the best possible way.
Yeah, well, a good player, James Byrne, as you've mentioned. Certainly the first 3 games, a prolific ball winner. Is playing in the midfield and also floating down, and he's starting now inside their offensive 50, South Fremantle. But an outstanding player and a good pickup by South, and we'll see lots more of that particular player this year.
There he is, the former Glenelg skipper in the SANFL, being stood by another number 5, Daniel Richmond. Stockton taking a very short run up here in the centre square. Mott got in front, won it down. This is Anderson, all held to him in the Jones tackle, and we'll go through it again.
Great recovery by Hayden North. He went off early last week when we watched South Fremantle. He's back out there contributing again today.
And a lot of people here too from a WAFL standard of late. A good crowd in. Healthy smattering on the outer bank. Let's hope the weather holds off, and once again the ball unable to break clear of the centre square. Matt Lucas, quite a few former AFL players in this game. Byrne, Ugle, Lucas, Ricky Mott is in there at the moment doing the ruck work, stands tall, which is easy when you're his height. Beros bounces the hand pass to Griffin. Griffin off to Liam Casson, back to Beros. Swans now decide to kick it wide towards the outer wing. Seagate leading back in the race. We think he's on report. We'll check that at quarter time. It's a hand pass to the wing. Mott doesn't really make good contact. Byrne has his work cut out. Looked like he was grabbed in the end when not in possession. No whistle. Seagate with several to beat. Dispossessed. Waters gets the spillage. Right up against the boundary line. Squaring kick towards centre half forward. Through the hands of Tapua Mandameri, but he has good recovery on the ground, but he'll turn it over nonetheless. Straight onto the chest of the Swan skipper, Joel Cornelius. Cornelius, the 1999 best and fairest for Swans. This may test him for distance. He's not renowned as being a long kicker. Already 5 possessions, about to come in for his 6th. Joel Cornelius. From 52 metres out, it's drifting away towards the right. The big pack goes up and offhands out of bounds. Swans 1 goal 2. South Fremantle 2 goals 2. It's probably important for the confidence of Swans that they make the most of each of these forward thrusts early in the game to stay in touch with the undefeated South Fremantle. Mott goes to ground in the process. Edmonds fell over him. Dispossessed Hutchison, who next week will play game number 100. Goal sockers it off the ground wide towards the outer side, and will have a boundary throw in. A 6-point lead to the Bulldogs. Nearly 16 minutes travelled in the opening quarter.
The bullet right half forward for Swan Districts. This Brady Anderson, the 1997 Sandover medalist, playing in those days for East Perth, being picked up today by Kingsley Hutchison. Mott won the knock right down to the foot of the pack, and that ball going nowhere. Craig DeCourcy wrapped up by South Fremantle players front and back. Now the umpire just having a word to the players that they're trying to settle them down. We had a rather aggressive reserves match played here at Basildon Oval this afternoon. I think some of the league players were sitting out watching it. Umpires Margette, Parker and Hendry officiating this afternoon. One down by Stockton. Swan Districts with the run of the football. That was Cornelius who fell over. Jones, the youngster, gets the hand pass out to Graham. Graham looking there for Seagate and finding him, but he was taken into good tackle. Clucas fumbled, maybe voluntarily, as Griffin applied the tackle, but the ball, I think, it had already gone over the wide line. We didn't have good vision of that, but Clucas played it rather cleverly in the end. Griffin, the player with the job on Clucas this afternoon, and it's an important one for Swan Districts as well. Clucas very important to South. Stockton did it well to Cornelius. Now another hand pass. Of course, he loves running shots on goals. Let's have a look at this one. Slightly across the face. Thornton really should have taken that mark. A chance for Johnston to get back now into the contest. Johnson goes to ground. Pretty good recovery by the big man, then ran into a headlong tackle by Thornton. He knocked it into the open. Tapua Mantameri bursts away. We saw him doing this last week against Peel Thunder. Sets up a lot of attacking moves. Finds Jones in the middle of the ground. The youngster goes through the centre circle. Out toward left half forward. Good lead. Good kick. Bootsma on the end of it. Bootsma running wild up forward at the moment. There goes the short kick looking for Atkins. Knocked away from him. Here's North. Squaring kick, getting on his own there was Webb, and Ryan Webb. There are a few former West Perth footballers out there this afternoon. Here's another one of them, and he is very, very strong overhead, is Ryan Webb.
There's a few in the Swans team as well, Phil, but just young Ashley Hansen, the ball up on the half-forward flank, went to put pressure on Tapua Mantameri, and instead of keeping his feet and just putting pressure on him, and he may not have been able to catch him, he just fell over and allowed him to be able to just run off half-back.
Can ill afford to do that. Shane Tapua Mantameri, very constructive with his running football. His delivery is usually quite outstanding. And it, combined with Jones and Bootsma, has enabled Webb to finish up at the football. Well, the goal umpire didn't move. Confirmation that was an excellent kick by Ryan Webb. Enjoying his football down at the Port City this year. And Webb has brought up South Fremantle's third.
He has, and he'd be pleased with that, an early goal to his name. But more importantly, when South did get that ball across half-back through Tapua Mantameri, the South players, you could actually see them push forward through the middle of the ground. And just interesting to see, when the ball got across half-forward, they had 2 or 3 players at the front of the pack. Swans players were still behind their opponents. And when you get those quick turnovers across half-back as defenders, and everyone becomes a defender, you must run with your players.
Stockton and Mott timed his approach perfectly, wins it down. Griffin's hand pass intercepted. South can go forward. Clucas on the end of it from the attacking edge of the centre square. Crashing through was Atkins. The ball has gone via the back of the pack and through for a behind. South Fremantle moving to 3-3-21. 13-point lead now. Swan Districts 1-2-8. 19.5 minutes into the first quarter.
Terrific handball by young Hayden, Hayden North in the middle of the ground. Very quick and slick.
Yes, we saw him last week. He was, as Rod Willett said, injured for part of that game. There's the kick from Johnson out to Ryan half-back. Should have been a free kick out there to Webb, and, well, there was a bit of acting going on, but I think the free kick initially was there. The umpire a bit late with the whistle. Let's see, Webb contested it pretty well in the air and nearly took the mark. That was certainly high. Now Webb is called to play on, chips the ball very, very short. If that gone the required distance, it has, but only just, I would think. Gilmore backing back well outside 50 again, so this is still a long shot at goal, and you can see him looking for options.
If he kicks it from there, he'd be a happy Gilmore, I'd imagine, Phil.
He would. That's been tried before, Glenn.
I must have been away that week.
You were. Gilmore, very, very high kick, but good distance as well. It's going to land right in the goal square, and almost a chance there for Atkins. So I don't know if he got first, but he got second, but in the end, it's forced over the line by the Swan Districts defenders. A rush behind the South.
Well, certainly a situation where Swans need to just regroup. They're just starting to take control in the latter stages of this quarter, and Swans just need to start working a little bit harder.
So they want this gap to blow out much further. Johnson spears it to the member's back pocket. Damien Casson with a bruised sternum. Kicks the ball around now towards the members' half-back flank. Richmond will fly in front. Jones, best position to mark, but couldn't. And we'll have a boundary throw in. See there, in fact, Jones probably didn't actually have his eyes on the ball at the last second there. From behind, Edmonds wins it down. Anderson to Richmond. Running out of room. Gets shunted as he kicked. Is that 15 metres? We'll never know, because Hay dropped the mark. Cleverly kept it in play. And in the end, the ball dribbled out of the grasp of Jones, but came off above his knee over the line. To be out on the full, it would have had to struck him Tackle struck him beneath the knee. So a good decision by the boundary umpire. Ball thrown in. Edmonds clean possession. Quicksilver hands to Barros. Now they're on the break. Stockton free on the members' wing. He chips it. Shorewell turnover. Straight onto the chest of Tapua Mary. Charges off half-back. Shocking kick. Mott sockers it off the ground. Up towards centre half forward. Back there in defence though. An opportunity for Clint Hampson. A left foot kick to the outer wing. Soccer affected out there by Seagate. Water sweating on him. Seagate didn't panic. Hand pass there to Atkins. Atkins along the ground towards Ugle, who flicks it back with the right boot. Kalukas plays on. Mott is free at half forward. The big man takes the mark. He can get it on and that will find his feet in a hurry. He had a couple of players drifting well inside the attacking 50, but Ricky taking his time to get back to his feet. And as a result, those players pretty quickly shut down. Not much that the Swans player could do on that occasion to try and affect the spoil. We saw in replay Casson giving away a lot of height to Ricky Mott, and certainly a lot of bulk. Once he's in position and he's got his feet firmly fixed on the ground, Ricky Mott, he's a pretty formidable opponent to try and spoil. This to extend South's lead to 20 points. A powerful kick. It doesn't hold its line though, drifting right and through for the behind. Another collective sigh from the Swan Districts fans. South Fremantle now out by 15 points.
A couple of changes being made by Steve Turner. Brett Thompson on the ground for the first time. Another West Perth footballer has come down to Basildine to try and make his mark. Up went Mott very, very high. Couldn't take the mark. Richmond at ground level. That's where he plays his best football. Goes with a high kick. Clears the centre of the ground. Graham from behind. A good punch. Lands though with the course. He gets himself out of trouble nicely. Now Cornelius got it off to Thompson, but he was too slow. Well, his first sortie into the play this afternoon, and Thompson just got dragged down from behind. The young man Jones with the hand pass gets it off to Graham. Awkward kick up there for Marto. It was a difficult one for him to take. Shrugging the tackle there was Damien Casson. Got it up to the half-forward line. Hanson in a wrestle there with Graham. Neither of them won out, and eventually Hutchison with a defensive hand pass finds the boundary line.
Well, young Brett Thompson just not having an awareness that a South Fremantle opponent was right on his hammer and just took his time.
Terrific leap there by Mott, and Kelderman felt that one in the back of the head. Mott now doing some ruck work. Byrne tried to burst his way clear. Thompson gets another chance, but once more Jones applying the tackle, and the umpire calls for it.
I think Ricky Mott landing on you, Phil, would be like a sea container landing on you.
You can only wonder what that'd be like.
Let's not find out.
Clucas and Griffin. Griffin running with Matthew Clucas. Stockton swats at the ball. It only goes as far as North, however, who anticipated it beautifully. Floats it to centre half forward. Webb anticipated it and then dropped the easiest of marks. Goes back in after it again to try and knock it out to Ugle, who does well. Clearing hand pass. Burns followed the play down from the centre of the ground. Long looping hand pass out wide to the milestone man from 51 metres and just one step. Marty kicks it into the pocket and it's gone over the line and out of bounds on the full. Well, not a bad setup, but unfortunately Marty just couldn't put the polish on it that they needed.
Where was his left foot?
Just adjacent to his right.
Kelderman not too sure about what to do, so he does what all good defenders should. Goes along the boundary line. Atkins flies in front, but Hanson takes the mark. Plays on by hand. That's Hanson to Hampson, and then Hampson kicks it high with the left foot, but North will take the mark. Well, that was interesting. The mark wasn't paid. There was no whistle, and he almost tried to hand pass it away immediately. He gathered it. This is Slater. Grubbers a left footer up towards half forward. Eads overran it. Tapua Mary went through. Swans have conceded the free kick. Tapua Mary, the man taken high. He wants to get on with it in a hurry because he can see Atkins, his skipper, lurking all alone just forward of left wing. Marty now goes out very wide. Well, Ugle, a little bit casual. Perhaps should have tried to get two hands to that attempted mark. As a result, he spilt it over the line. Cornelius, the Swans skipper, he's just coming off the ground. He's going to have a spell. 26 minutes into the opening term. Michael Harris, his replacement. Going to ground Munro. Ugle at the bottom of the pack. The umpire says, give it to me. Swan District's interchange bench. I'd imagine we'll see a fair bit of use today because it is, as we heard from Rod Willett pre-match, reasonably humid. Edmonds palming it down. Barros runs into a brick wall and also a high tackle.
Wouldn't mind $1 for every one he's got over the shoulder in his career, Shane Barros.
Yes, he's one of the most tigerish players in the WAFL. No doubt about that. Always puts his body on the line. That one's gone straight through Edmonds' hands. To make matters worse, he's kept the ball alive as far as Souths are concerned, and it's gone out of bounds in the end. That was fraught with danger because Edmonds dropped the mark and then paddled the ball back along the line. Almost an opportunity there for North to steal it away, but in the end it went over. Hay and Edmonds. Hay leans over, wins it down, but an opportunity here for Harris's first possession of the day after a bounce. Kicks it diagonally towards the members' side. Seager drops the mark, recovers well against Slater and can set South Fremantle up. From centre half forward, powerful kick inside 50. Who's at the back of the pack? Hay there, clever, tried to tap it back. But in the end, South Fremantle running out of ground, and Ryan Webb virtually takes it over in his own possession. South Fremantle 3 goals, 6 now. They may well rue these inaccurate attempts. You see in replay a clever bit of thought there by Hay, but just couldn't quite slap it deep enough back into the field of play for South to get a goal.
Meanwhile, it's Johnston to bring the ball back into play. Taking plenty of time and then electing to go into the pocket and finding Kane Munro. Not a lot on offer for Munro just at the moment. He'll go down the rather well populated outer side of the ground, eventually goes short again. The short passes, well, there's always danger there. This time Casson very clean with his hands, bursts away, there being no one on the mark. Up towards centre wing, Atkins is really controlling the outer side of the ground. Tapua Manamiri got a hand pass to Hay. Now Seager again, who's after a sluggish start becoming a dangerous player. Wanted to draw a player, then elected to go with a hand pass to North, who's been very, very busy. That one not a good kick. Stockton got a fist into it. Johnson was met solidly by Byrne. South Fremantle player in North, who's followed the ball down the corridor, did extremely well. Eventually it's flicked out, I think via Swan District's player. Clearing kick went to the outer side of the ground. South Fremantle a chance here. Still Swan Districts very, very desperate. The ball spills out and Johnson once again, so he can clear now. Finally for Swan Districts, as he finds a target, he does. That was a good foot pass. And Marty Atkins, who has been finding a lot of space on the outer side of the ground on that occasion, contested by De Courcy. The siren's gone. First quarter, the honours going to South Fremantle. 3 goals, 6-24. They're leading Swan Districts at quarter time at 1-2-8.
So 9 scoring shots to 3 in the opening quarter. There's the 250 gamer Marty Atkins, as Phil Lamb mentioned, seeing a lot of space in that opening term. Let's have a look at the goal scorers to quarter time. Pretty easy to find on the left-hand side of the page. Just the one, Glenn Waters, that goal coming 11 minutes in. Singles to Byrne, Webb and Gilmore for the Bulldogs. Travis Edmonds in game number 212, leading the ruck for Swan Districts. He may well have some centre square clashes throughout the day with the 250 gamer Marty Atkins, although this season Atkins has been used more up forward than down back or in the ruck. The match stats to quarter time, as you can see, there is not much in it apart from the bottom line. If we look at the possessions, there has been 3 more possessions to South Fremantle, but that has resulted in 16 inside 50 penetrations to 7, and they've also had 4 centre breaks to 1. So both teams seeing the same amount of the football, Wayne Blackwell, but it's resulting in South Fremantle going inside their 50 more than 2-1, and as a result, they've had 9 scoring shots to 3 and lead by 16 points.
Well, they've done it pretty well, Glenn. They've got winners probably in the midfield, down back and up forward. I think Klukas, Bootsma, Byrne for South, and Hayden North are controlling the midfield. Jules and Tipua Mantameri's playing a terrific game out of defence. But you look at their front half. I mean, they've got a formidable talls down there in Ricky Mott and Adam Hay, and Atkins is sitting back across the middle of the ground, and you've also got Ryan Webb down there. So they've pretty much got winners right across the ground. Swans just need to get back to some basics. A few of their midfielders, Shane Barros, working hard defensively and in the middle of the ground. Brady Anderson probably needs to get himself into the game. I don't think we've seen a lot of him, but at the moment South controlling it.
Paul Johnson, Ashley Hansen, and on occasions in that quarter, Travis Edmonds inside the attacking 50. So Swans also have some tall timber if they can manage to deliver the ball well enough to them.
Well, there's no doubt that South's midfield, skill-wise, have certainly dominated. They've been able to use the ball extremely well. And we saw a situation there when South kicked the ball in. Swans had plenty of defenders going back, but they had nobody prepared to sit out in case they got possession of the ball. And we got a quick kick from a Swans player, and we saw 3 or 4 South Fremantle players setting up the wall, and the South defenders had nobody to kick to. So you've got to be a little bit smarter. The Swans players can't all run in defensively and have no one across the middle of the ground to be the link-up between defence and the front half.
So the Bulldogs will be pretty happy with their first quarter of football, except for the fact that had they kicked more accurately, they really could have put scoreboard pressure. 3 goals, 6, 9 scoring shots, as we said, but only converting 33% of them. Steve Turner, I think, saying use your head to his Swan District charges. Swans coming off the bye. So you often wonder how that affects a team after a 13-day break. The Swans huddle is breaking at the moment. As we said, a good crowd out here today at Bassendean Oval. Good to see people turning out to watch the WAFL. South Fremantle now sent on their way as well. 2 very famous and historic grandstands. The McDonald's stand to the left, the Walker stand in the foreground. And a lot of vitriol has been hurled at players over the years from those 2 vantage points. Bob Mormel there, the former director of the Fremantle Football Club, out here watching, no doubt, his beloved Bulldogs. Bob there with the glasses. As we zoom in on him, out here keeping an eye on South Fremantle. As we mentioned, he was a former director at the Fremantle Dockers and has always been a very passionate supporter of South Fremantle in the WAFL. Steve Turner has had a great start to the season. Let's hear from him after quarter time here with Rod Willett.
Steve, plenty of ball for the Swan District's players, but just keep turning it over, and your forwards maybe we're not in front.
Yeah, I said to him then, you know, we're picking the wrong options at times. We're getting the ball, but we're rushing. We're not taking our time. You know, there's not a lot of talk out there, communication. So what we need to do is settle when we get the ball and use the right option, pick the right option.
You're probably lucky to still be in it, because South could have kicked probably maybe 10 that quarter.
Yeah, they had plenty of the ball, and particularly up forward, but I think at least our guys shown that they put them under pressure, and, you know, the pressure resulted in points, which kept us in the game, yeah.
Thanks very much, Steve.
Thanks, mate.
Well, Glenn, the thing is that John Northey at the moment is not coaching South Fremantle. He's actually Crook. His wife's Crook is what I can find out. And Todd Medengola is actually taking the reins today over South Fremantle. But very positive, very keen to go well. And Andrew Sigert was definitely reported for striking, and he'll see the tribunal on during the week.
Second quarter underway, a 16-point lead to South Fremantle over Swan Districts. And the secondary bounce in the middle. Well, that's bad news relayed to us at quarter time. We wish John Northey's wife all the best. So John, the coach of South Fremantle, not at the ground today. Todd Medengola, formerly a Swans player, and a lot of people thought may have been the replacement this season in the absence of John Todd, who retired. But Todd Medengola down at South, and at the moment he is the acting match day coach for the Bulldogs. To Puamanda Merritt, looked like he was taken high, but umpire on the blind side. Goldaham pass to Byrne. Byrne back then to North, almost ground to a halt. Then a high, awkward delivery towards the centre of the ground. Through the hands of Griffin at the back. Gathered by Jones. Effects a kick around the body. Coming out at it rather tentatively was Gilmore. This is Clucas near the boundary line. Hand passes on the bounce to the busy North. North, unfortunately, sees Bottrell fall over, but the veteran Tom Bottrell's got a chance to recover. Goes laterally across the half-forward line. Ugle didn't get a good bounce. That allowed Stockton in. Turns, and from centre half back, spots and finds Drew Slater just forward of left wing. Slater plays on to rather fancy effort that paid off. He found Munro, long from 50 metres. It's long and straight. I thought for a moment that it was going to be a little bit casual on the outer side there when Slater just casually kicked it across the body, but he found Munro nonetheless, and the margin reduced to just 10 points.
Well, good play by Swans. It started really from an error by South Fremantle, just a poor option to kick laterally, enabled Swans players to swoop on that through Stockton. But the pleasing thing is to watch, when he got the ball, there were 3 or 4 Swans players that actually ran forward, Munro being one of them, Slater another, and they were able to use each other and through the middle of the ground too, brought the ball back into the middle to make it an easy scoring shot.
So back at centre field, Mott doing the ruck work successfully down to Byrne. He was taken high. No, the umpire said it was held to him, so he will repeat the dose in the centre of the ground. Great start by Swan District's early goal in this second quarter can give them some momentum. Stockton with a healthy knock went Swan District's way, but North chopped it off, gets a hand pass off to Clucas. Clucas carried forward, and I think that was quite blatant. Cass and Liam getting into his back, so from a position lying down on the ground, Clucas gets it off to Tinsley, goes up towards centre half forward, and a good mark there by Webb. Now he's made a very promising start to the match. Hand pass off to Mott, hurried kick by the big man towards centre half forward. In fact, over centre half forward, Boots Maflew couldn't mark. Here's a chance for Ugle, usually very clean with his ball handling, gets a chance to snap on goal, marking the goal square. Going back there and taking the easiest of marks is South Fremantle's Andrew Seagate. Deep at right full forward. It was a tumbling mark, but Seagate always in the best position. 5 possessions already. I beg your pardon, 6 possessions already, and Andrew Seagate has already played a couple of games with the Dockers this year. I think at least one. Comes in, shoots at goal, and what's he done with this one? He's put it through. So South Fremantle get the quick reply. Good mark, good goal by Andrew Seagate. And he's becoming a rather damaging player after getting his number taken early. He certainly recovered from that way.
Yeah, after getting his number taken, his next 2 or 3 possessions, Phil, were a little bit scratchy, double-handled on 2 or 3 occasions there. But since then, has really settled down. He's knuckled down and he's working very hard across the middle of the ground and working very well offensively too, running deep into the forward line.
So a goal apiece since quarter time. We're back to where we were, that 16-point margin to the Bulldogs. South Fremantle undefeated this year, so too Swans, but they did suffer a draw in the opening round. North, hand pass awkward at the feet of Clucas. Liam Casson soccers off the ground. Souths have some numbers across half-back. Tinsley goes wide to the outer side. Opportunity here for Webb. Runs over the centre line. Goes wide towards right half forward. Gilmore thwarted in his attempt to mark by Hampson. And we'll have a boundary throw in. Jeff Gallop, the Premier, and Jim McGinty, is it?
I don't know about that. Jim Watterston on the extreme right of screen.
Looked like it might have been the Attorney General.
May have been.
And the ball to be bounced. Here's the Premier, Jeff Gallop, who I think is a Swan District's
Yes, he is.
supporter.
Yes, no doubt about that.
One down by Hampson. Berros under pressure. Gets a hurry kick to the outer side over the head of Hanson at the back. The foot race to Puamanda behind De Courcy. De Courcy sweeps a hand past Slater. Breaks the tackle. Hand pass to Waters. A matter of accuracy from 30 metres. And the answer's in the affirmative. No, he's missed. Gee, the umpire took a long time and eventually thumped his chest and said it's a behind. Perhaps it may have gone over the goalpost, but that is a very bad miss by Glenn Waters. Swan Districts moves to within 15 points.
Thornton brings it in short. I was watching Waters and he certainly either thought he had it or tried to talk the umpire into it. Bottrell.
Bluffing him, trying to bluff him.
Tom Bottrell started the match on the bench. Now he's run off his line. He's called to play on. Goes with another short chip pass and Thornton, who is the player that kicked it to Bottrell, accepts it again. Thornton out wide to Tinsley, so the South Fremantle defenders have worked it out of the defensive 50 and now find Clucas up on centre wing. Running very, very hard is Matt Clucas. Short pass, and that's going to be paid Gilmore again. It's a better matchup, I think, with Hampson on Gilmore. I think maybe Munro started there, but Gilmore and Hampson is going to be a good matchup. Gilmore gets around onto his left boot, raking left foot kick in towards centre half forward. Griffin did well at the front of the pack. Desperation gets him a second chance. Hand pass to Casson. Liam Casson goes back up towards centre wing. Thornton's back there. Also Stockton, but Thornton just a little bit more mobile. Gave it to Tapua Mentamiri. Talk about mobile. Away he goes after feigning with the hand pass. Tapua Mentamiri up towards centre half forward. Cleared Ugle's head. Seagate now with superior body strength. Shrugs off Harris, and now he makes himself plenty of time, gets around onto the left boot, well directed up toward Bootsma, in fact, just a little bit too strong for him. And now Griffin, the joint best and fairest last year, gives it to a multiple best and fairest in Travis Edmonds, and now Richmond is away, goes right out wide towards the members' wing, but Galt always in best position. Not a well-directed pass, and not a lot on offer, so Galt spears it into the middle of the ground. Clucas fires the hand pass off. Tinsley with a well-weighted kick up towards the forward pocket. Marty Atkins, yes, you don't get pinged for pushes in the back in your 250th. Marty played that very, very cleverly. Would have been a game umpire, notwithstanding that it's in front of the Swan Districts members. There it is, a little shove, and Marty took the mark. What do you think, Blackie?
Fair mark.
Fair mark, and, well, never odds on when Marty's shooting a goal, but we've got a terrific view of it. Starts it right, it stays right. Bronze cheers from the Swan Districts members, but I'm sure it's all in good spirit. And there is Travis Edmonds going to the bench to have a rest. South Fremantle just creep another point more in the lead.
It's an interesting, that one, Phil, when players back. They know they're going to get a slight nudge, but they're just going to be stronger as they back.
Munro's kick has found Paul Johnson, swings it along the members' wing, Eads the target, does well. Atkins just momentarily holds him up. Eads on the centre line. Needs to be a good kick. The Souths have plenty of players around the ball. Stockton, a hand pass away. Johnson goes to ground heavily, allows Seagate in. Seagate, bullet-like by hand to Byrne. Thornton trying to hack it out of mid-air. Tinsley goes through, paddles it along the ground. Atkins near the boundary line, slung by Eads. Kick up and down almost on the same spot. No mark paid to Tinsley as a result. He's grabbed in a tackle immediately gathered by Kelderman. And we'll have a ball up on the members' wing. $16-point lead. It's 1 goal, 1 apiece in this second quarter, which is nearly 9 minutes old. Munro couldn't gather. The back here to Fremantle just walks the ball over the boundary. Fremantle giving South plenty of drive off half back in that first quarter. Ball thrown in, up very high was Johnson. Munro by hand to Liam Casson. No one comes towards him, so he's able to take a bounce. A squaring kick towards centre half forward. Eads has it fisted away from him by Tinsley. At the fall is Byrne. He can go for a bounce. Takes 2, in fact. Heading diagonally towards the outer wing. The target out there is Gilmore, and he marks out in front of his face.
So Gilmore covering a lot of ground off half forward, swings the ball with the left boot up towards the right half forward flank. Seagate again was the target. He's still in the action here. Got a hand pass out toward Byrne, who has taken in a good tackle, somehow released it. Motts there just seemed to drop the footy. Now it's a clearing kick by Swan District. Straight back into some trouble though. Jones, 35 possessions last week, gets this hand pass out towards Gilmore. From just a step, the kick was an ambitious one out very close to the boundary line. Kept in play cleverly by South Fremantle. Mott, the big man, has a chance now. He's just inside 50. Goes up towards the 10-metre square, but getting a fist in the way there was Kelderman. Just at the right place at the right time, and he's forced to throw in it right full forward. Steve Kelderman, one of the taller players in Swan District's fullback line. Getting some support down there by Johnson just for the moment. Kessler looked as though he was pushed in the back. Play on's the call. Beros combining out there with his skipper Joel Cornelius, and Cornelius' clearing kick, and that's probably a pretty good result for Swan Districts. If indeed it goes over, it does. Seagate was giving chase.
It was interesting, Phil, at quarter time we saw that kicks and handballs, when they were aggregated, just at 3 more to South Fremantle. At the moment they lead by 21, so it gives you an idea of how dominant they've been in the first 10 minutes of this second term.
Doing some ruck work there, Mott, and cleverly at the back of the pack. That's the offensive side. Seagate ran at it, but then he had Griffin running at him. Griffin just threw the ball up, and Beros now quickly swoops on it. Tumbles the ball up toward the half-forward line. South Fremantle through Galt, get back. Hand pass to Tinsley, needs support. The kick across his body. Well, Byrne was there, tried to tap it on, just actually missed it, but Thornton just read the play beautifully. Now from left centre wing, he goes up towards centre half forward Hampson. That's the sort of form that made him Swan's joint best and fairest last season. Very, very solid overhead. Now his foot pass out wide, looking for Slater, but it wasn't a good kick. Byrne comes in, takes the mark, floats. That was a lazy and rather casual kick. Munro under pressure now. Ugle, one of the best of field last week. He could be penalised here. The South Fremantle supporters said holding the ball. The umpire gave him the benefit of the doubt. Well, the ball is shovelled over the white line, and there are some of the rather irate supporters who perhaps thought that Kieran Ugle should have been pinged for holding the ball on that occasion.
Well, both sides actually being let down by their disposals coming out of defence.
Ball thrown in. Johnson didn't quite make contact. Mott does the second time. This is North, forced onto his left side. High, awkward delivery for the forwards. No one can take the mark. Griffin may have been grabbed when not in possession. In fact, it was Cornelius. He's now having a wrestle behind play. Paul Johnson gathers on the half volley and he's taken with the ball out of play. We'll have a throw in. Here is Paul Johnson, a likely looking character, recruited by the West Coast Eagles. But on that occasion, Gilmore grabbing him and forcing him over the boundary line. Atkins almost came off his face as he looked to palm that one down. Cornelius to Barros, that's not 15, so Hampson's got to get rid of it quickly. South Fremantle have the numbers. If it stays in play, it doesn't. And we'll have a boundary throw in on the wing. Not a lot of scoring in the first 13 minutes of this second quarter. 1 goal, 1 apiece. As a result, the 16-point lead that South's held at quarter time remains. Johnson and Hay. Johnson slips in front like a tennis serve, knocks it up towards half forward. Intercepted though by Jones. Left footer back towards the wing. Byrne flew in a pack of 4. Cleverly plays on whilst on the ground. Feeds the hand pass out to Adams. Adams up towards centre half forward. Souths couldn't mark in front. Griffin a hand pass away to poor Mary. Surely Helban not in possession. No whistle. Anderson gets it. Hand pass to Slater. Hand pass to Eads. Eads goes over the top. Can Waters make amends? He missed one earlier in the quarter on the run. In desperation, perhaps, he dishes it off and Liam Casson gets the goal. He's got the impression then that Glenn Waters didn't want to take another running shot on goal, having missed from 30 metres out and closing earlier this quarter. And speaking of closing, that's what Swans have done. They're back within 10 points with Liam Casson getting his first of the afternoon.
Yeah, well, good play. It wasn't pretty, but they pushed it forward and they had options. When a player got possession, they were able to feed it out with a handball. Tipu Mary, maybe a little bit unlucky, but the umpire was in perfect position there to see whether he was actually playing for a free kick, and he saw it and he called play on.
It was good running football by Casson, but what a great mark that was by Byrne, one of the marks of the day. Back at centre field, Johnson does the job solo, rucking the work and then doing his own roving. Casson again, clever with his little paddle on, looking there for Slater, nearly went without it. Adams was with him, Slater under pressure. Hand pass to Casson, and Liam Casson was already had 1 foot over the line, and the ball will be thrown back into play. Slater recovered from a heavy knock early. It was that player that went down when Seagate was reported in the first quarter. There's Adams. So it'll be Johnson and Hay. Nearly got some in your mouth then, Blackie. Hay to the front. Won the knock easily up towards the vacant centre wing position. Getting back first will be Slater. Gathers it. Taken in the tackle by Jones. Hampson. Got it out to Brady Anderson, high up and under, but it travelled the required distance, and a good mark's been taken there by Richmond. He drives the Swan Districts forward again. Hanson going back, just didn't take the mark. It was a courageous effort. Here's Eads deep in the pocket. Will steady, will shoot at goal, or does he try and centre it? Casson was there, but he was hopelessly outnumbered. Tinsley did well. Also, Gold, who got it out to Tapu Mary. In front of the McDonald stand, just steadies things down to Pua Mary and then goes with a long kick. This will be straight down the throat of Munro. Now getting back into the contest, Ugle did well. Jones, the youngster, out towards Seagate, and Seagate a beautifully directed left foot pass right in front of the face of Marty Atkins. Well, Atkins he had a man at centre half forward. That was Byrne, and I'm pretty sure that's where he meant to kick it, but Griffin took the miss kick, gave it to Johnson, who's giving Swan Districts a bit of drive on the ball now. He was stranded up at full forward for all of the first quarter. Barros dropped an absolute sitter. Perhaps it was too easy. North combines well with Jones. A couple of good youngsters there. Jones, as I said, 35 disposals last week. This one's wasted, and Johnson, by the minute, getting more and more into the action. And that was a good mark, well timed. Goes with a short pass, not a particularly good one to Anderson. Jones gets another chance. This is a better disposal. Got it out to Surgeon, and now Adams, that hand pass. That was absolutely terrible. Fortunately, Byrne was there. Dispossessed, gets a second chance. The hand pass misses its mark. A lot of mistakes with disposal here. Hampson bursts clear. Now Swan Districts can make South Fremantle hurt here. Beautiful pass by Hampson. Unlike some of the disposals we've seen in the last minute or two. Hanson, short, could have been a miss kick. Well, it's just taken away there by Tinsley. Great rebound football. Tinsley into the middle of the ground. In fact, more out towards centre wing. Bootsman there with Griffin. Griffin, a good diving effort to get the hand pass to Munro. Defensive kick. That was quite clearly out of bounds on the full, but I think Munro, who was decked after he disposed of the footy.
Relayed free kick, I think, Phil.
He'll win a free kick. It'll be a relayed one and probably taken down the ground by Johnson. Paul Johnson having an influence in this second term. One of the reasons why Swans are getting back into this match. Goes with a spiral torpedo punt. Don't see many of those. To centre half forward. Almost a strong mark there by Slater. Hayes into the action. Toe poked it only as far as Cornelius. He works the ball out into the clear. Cassin's been very, very busy. Feints. Gets around Clucas. He can steady and kick his second goal now, Cassin. Liam Cassin. What a great effort. He has been very, very dangerous since the start of the match, now with his second goal, and Swan District supporters certainly appreciate a good play from him, but also some good teamwork by Swan Districts. And Wayne, I think they make the most of some poor disposal options taken by South Fremantle.
Yeah, not just South Fremantle, but also Swans. I mean, they certainly controlled those last few seconds to score that goal, Phil, but both sides overusing the football with their handball. A lot of short kicks, a lot of handballs, turning the ball over. Paul Johnson certainly going into the ruck has made a huge difference to Swan Districts.
Ball back in the middle, and Johnson still in the ruck, up against Adam Hay. Hay won it down, running onto it's the 99 gamer Hutchison. Hand passes towards centre half forward. Gilmore into the pocket. Lovely transition play from the centre square. South Fremantle moving it swiftly, and Webb takes the chest mark. But that was very clinical by the Bulldogs. They moved it half the length of the ground, and it never looked like a Swan Districts player was going to get anywhere in the vicinity of the ball. Mark Webb, one of 5, by my reckoning, former West Perth players playing in this game. 4 of them are wearing black and white colours. Ryan Webber, 100 gamer with West Perth. To give South Fremantle a bit more breathing space, and he makes the margin 10 points. Mark Webb puts it through, his second of the afternoon. South Fremantle have their 5th.
Yeah, well, it was clinical, Glenn, from the middle of the ground. Certainly started with Adam Hayes knocked forward and allowed the South players to clear the ball, just run onto the ball and use the ball quite effectively. Unfortunately for Swan Districts, Kestrel slipped at the inappropriate time there, which gave certainly Ryan Webb enough freedom just to take a simple chest mark.
So Webb has been busy for Swan Districts. He's kicked 2 goals, 1 in the first, now 1 in the second. And Kestrel has just got to play him a lot more closely. Strong overhead Webb, and sometimes plays a little bit taller than he actually looks. Big collision of the ruckman there. The umpire allows it to go on. Bootsma sinks the slipper into it and clears the centre square. In fact, gets it inside 50. Meanwhile, the whistle has gone, and a Swan Districts free kick. I think it was given to Griffin, but Kelderman plays on, sends the ball out very wide, hoping that Beros will get there first. In fact, he doesn't. Cassin, Damien Cassin, knocked it only as far there as North. And North's short kick was a complete blind one and lands right onto the chest of Cornelius. The Swan District skipper goes to the half-forward line, looking there for Hanson, knocked away from him by Graham. North read it well, but then was taken in a tackle, dispossessed. That does hurt. Hanson wheels around to the left boot, has a player clear on the outer side of the ground. That's Slater. Gets the hand pass forward of the play. Richmond it might have been. In fact, it was Glenn Waters, and Waters' kick. Well, the centering kick was always on, and Cassin again. Well, one of the smallest men there, appreciated by the crowd and the big crowd in the McDonald's stand. He's kicked 2 goals in this quarter, Cassin, and here's a chance to bring up his 3rd. What great courage, Wayne.
It was terrific courage, but young Eads, people probably wouldn't have noticed it, but he actually could see that was going to happen and put his body between his teammate and the oncoming South player.
This for number 3 to Liam Cassin, having a purple patch in this second quarter. He's hooked that one, but it's coming back. Well, he doesn't like it, and that's the reason why minor score only, and well, that would have been a real icing on the cake as far as he's concerned.
You just can't afford to miss those simple chances. You take a good mark running back with the flight of the ball, and then an easy shot on goal missed.
Tinsley goes relatively short. Seagate, is he pushed in the back? He is.
It was just reckless, a reckless attack on the body.
He was never going to take the mark. He spilled it before the contact between the shoulder blades. Now he's told to play on. Floats an ugly looking left footer. Hay lumbers after it, going after him, Johnson. Hay gets a hand pass away. South Fremantle able to gather on Member's side. Surgeon, but he turns it over. Hanson the look-away hand pass to Griffin, to Kelderman. He links up in turn with Thompson. Back to Kelderman. And Souths will break it up. Thornton by hand to his Fremantle Docker teammate in Seagate. Uses the ball well. Ugle closed down at the last minute, though, by Damien Casson. He gives it to brother Liam. Too far out to score his third on this occasion. He goes short. Slater drops the mark. Has the presence of mind, though, to knock it deeper into the pocket. Byrne goes back. De Courcy claims him. Is that out of play? It is. So Swans have earned a neutral ball contest deep in their left full forward pocket.
They're working hard, Glenn, Swans, to keep the ball inside 50.
And they manufacture a goal. Edmonds and Hay. Edmonds goes to ground. Oh, gee. I'd like to see that again. Hay penalised. I must admit, it didn't really in the natural vision. Oh. Gee, that's just hip on hip.
That's a terrible decision.
And I reckon Edmonds knew that he was out of the contest anyway, so he didn't even try to stand up. He knew that he couldn't contest because he was losing his balance, and that is a very soft free kick.
Besides being in the side, there was very little contact, wasn't there, really?
Edmonds is the Easter Bunny in the background. Edmonds taking the shot on goal.
It's a good omen.
Hope he or she gets to my house overnight. Edmonds high. The umpire has a good look. Edmonds applauds. The umpire's about to wave 2 flags. Well, heading rapidly towards half-time in the 24th minute of the second quarter. Swans won't lie down. They're back within 3 points.
Yeah, well, a terrific effort by Swan. Certainly, it looked like it could just slip away from them. But as you mentioned, Phil, I just think South Fremantle, they've turned the ball over far too many times across the middle of the ground as they're trying to bring it forward. And Swans have been able to capitalise. And just a few of their defensive players like Kelderman are just starting to work off the half-back line and get the ball across the middle of the ground half forward and putting the ball into the offensive 50 on many occasions.
I'm glad I got a chance to see the replay there. I thought I saw Jamie Graham, the South Fremantle player, applauding that goal through. That is great sportsmanship. Now, Beros, after a free kick, was given away by South Fremantle in the middle of the ground. Beros goes up towards centre-half court. Edmonds again. Well, that's a far more legitimate way to get a shot at goal. Travis Edmonds standing up strongly in that contest. If you take it back to the previous contest, he would have been flattened. Very, very strong overhead on that occasion. And this one, to give Swan Districts the lead, he'll be kicking from a good 45 metres out, but directly in front. The windsock is hanging quite limp on the outer side of the ground. Notwithstanding that, he goes short, and De Courcy has just dropped down off centre wing and taken a mark, just dropping off perhaps Tommy Bottrell on that occasion, and De Courcy will shoot at goal, probably still from in excess of 40 metres out.
He's probably gained 6 or 7 metres.
That.
4.
We'll stop there at 4. Now there's the South Fremantle coach's box, and unfortunately missing John Northey this afternoon. His wife has taken ill. Let's hope she's okay. Craig De Courcy, well, that kick's okay. Travis Edmonds knew what he was doing by gaining those 3 or 4 metres, and De Courcy, a very reliable shot on goal, has kicked his first goal for the afternoon. Swan Districts, importantly, having come from 16 points behind at quarter time, and now in front.
Well, I just think it's a case of knowing your own capabilities, doesn't it, Phil? If you're sort of some 45 to 50, maybe Travis Edmonds on that occasion would have kicked from around the 50-metre arc. Just knew that if he could get it 5 or 6 metres closer, he saw a teammate free, and I think just smart football.
Sunshine breaking out over Bassendean Oval. It's shining on the back of Swans at the moment. They lead by 3 points as they look to go forward again. Beros penalised for illegal disposal. And in the end, the free kick goes the way of Byrne. He gets it high and hard towards Atkins. 2-3 bites paid the mark. Marty Atkins wants to chip it on short, and it comes off because Bootsma has marked in brilliant sunshine now. 45-degree angle. Man on the mark about 40 metres out from goal. Coming in for his 6th kick, Brad Bootsma. He was a late recruit into the AFL, played 23 games with Fremantle. He shoots on goals and he restores the lead in favour of Souths. They move to 6-7, leading Swans 6-4.
and good play by Marty Atkins as well to be able to get that mark. I was just a little bit disappointed with Stephen Kelderman's effort there. If you can't reach the football, in the old days you were told to hit arms, and in no stage there did he actually try to hit Marty Atkins' arms to force the ball to the ground. He was just...
Wayne, it was in the previous contest that he was also just out-bodied and pushed off it a bit too easily. And Marty Atkins is very, very strong, but Kelderman's got some responsibility down there. He's a key defender, so he's just got to stay in those contests for a lot longer. Back at centre field, Johnson, favoured by this bounce, will take it cleanly, get it off to Barros. Good combination. Barros goes to the half-forward line. Tapua Manamiri couldn't take the mark. Galt's back there, dispossessed, still holding front position. Galt was pushed in the back. It was seemingly obvious, but Waters now with possession and with a very clever kick across his body finds Hansen. And Ashley Hansen will shoot at goal from about 25 metres. Mott is back on the ground for South Fremantle and Hay is off. But this is Hansen on the West Coast Eagles list, coming originally from Oakley. There's Adam Hay off to have a rest, and Hansen goalless this afternoon. There are his disposals, 6 disposals, but yet to register a score. And as a key forward, this is one that he really should score. Hansen comes in, makes no mistake. That's a good-looking finish by Hansen. Swan District's back in front. Good game of football here at Bassendean Oval. The second quarter is nearly 28 minutes old, and the crowd is really being entertained, Wayne.
Well, he certainly enjoyed that, Ashley Hansen, and a young man that's still got a lot of work to do, there's no doubt about that. Certainly from a physical aspect, I think agility-wise he's quite good, and he knows the positions to get to provide a contest. He's just got to become a little more physical. Like the game across half-forward of Glenn Waters, I think he's really, this quarter has been a bit of a live wire across half-forward for Swan Districts.
Well, he and Casson have both been very good on either side, haven't they?
They have.
Last 4 scoring shots have seen the lead alternate 4 times. One down the middle by Mott. Gilmore claimed immediately by Barros. This is Jones. Bottrell gathers on the half volley. Kicks it powerfully across the body. Pack collapses. Opportunity back there for Thompson. Off to Barros. Kicks now for a foot race towards the outer wing. Leading the charge, Slater. Eludes Hutchison and then just runs away with arrogance. Slater now up towards left half forward. Good mark. The man Wayne Blackwell just mentioned, Glenn Waters, really making his presence felt across half forward for the black and whites. Goes towards Eads. Beautiful pass. Hits him right on the chest. Eads, somewhat of an excitement machine for Swan Districts this season. It's been used a couple of times off the bench. But like so many Aboriginal footballers, has tremendous skills and a great turn of pace. Recruited from Bunbury, which has been a good recruiting ground for Swans over the years. He goes long and there'll be no score because the siren sounds as the ball was lobbing towards the top of the goal square. But Swan Districts, 2 wins and a draw up against the undefeated South Fremantle. Swans take a 3-point lead into half-time at Bassendean Oval. Many of us came to Bassendean today thinking this would be a real test for Swans to see where they're at, having won just 1 game in season 2002. Well, where they're at the moment is a 3-point lead at half-time against the undefeated South Fremantle. Let's have a look at the goal scorers in the opening 2 quarters of football. Quarter time, Swans had just the 1 goal scorer. Well, they kicked 6 goals in the second term, Liam Casson getting 2 of them. And the only multiple goal scorer for South Fremantle, the former 100 gamer with West Perth, Ryan Webb. Marty Atkins in game number 250. Chatting to the troops. When they get to the rooms, it'll be Todd Menegola, former Richmond and Swan Districts player, who'll be talking to them, because as we heard at quarter time from our boundary rider Rod Willett, John Northey, the coach of South Fremantle, a 300 game coach in the AFL, his wife has taken ill and he is with her today and not here at Bassendean Oval. So we wish John and his wife all the best. Let's hope she has a speedy recovery. Marty Atkins keen to post a victory in game number 250 and maintain South Fremantle's clean slate in season 2003. Quarter time, just the 1 goal to Swans. They trail by 16 points, but a 19-point turnaround in the second term. They lead 7 goals 4 to 6 goals 7. And Wayne Blackwell, they'd be very happy with that. Steve Turner certainly got something to work with at half-time with Swans half a goal in front.
I think they were terrific. Certainly halfway through that quarter, we probably felt that South might kick away, but South were probably their own worst enemies. They turned the ball over, certainly midfield. They overused it and created turnovers across half-back, and we just saw Swans half-backers start to run through the middle of the ground. And I just think that the half-forward line of Swan Districts at the moment is certainly on top, with Hanson, Waters and Casson chipping in with some very handy goals.
Well, we look forward to the second half here at Bassendean Oval. It's been a big day for Marty Atkins, game number 250. I had a chance to catch up with him during the week. We'll hear that interview shortly. And also Rod Willett recently had a chat with the new gun recruit for the Fremantle Dockers, former Brisbane Lion Premiership player Des Headland. That's coming up now. Half-time at the footy, back shortly at Bassendean, where Swans lead by 3 points.
"17 games at Subiaco. Did you enjoy your time here before you went on to your next level?"
Yeah, definitely. From 12s with the development squads all the way up to when I played my first league game. I still remember it was against Claremont. It's just a great time to be part of the club. And although we didn't finish where we wanted to that year, we come third. But it was a good learning curve for myself.
In 1998, you were the #1 draft choice. You went to Brisbane, but you probably would have preferred to stay at home.
Yeah, no, that's right. I wanted to stay home, and I told Brisbane before the draft that I didn't want to go up there, and Freo had the number two pick, which they got Justin Longmuir. But in the end, they ended up getting me anyway. I come home, end of last year. But albeit, Brisbane, I had a good learning curve. I was with a good side up there, and I learned quite a lot from the players. And one of the best players that ever played footy with Lee Matthews, and probably one of the best coaches as well. So I learned quite a bit up there, and hopefully I can bring some experience that I learnt from there to Freo.
The year you played, I think 21 of the games, the AFL home and away games, you missed out on the grand final. Must have almost torn your heart out.
Yeah, no, that was a very tough year. That was. I was playing every game, but I wasn't. I was on the fringe still playing every game and playing. 10 minutes here, might get half a game here, and I sort of knew that if they were going to drop someone before the final series, that I was probably going to be the first one to be dropped. And obviously I was, and I played all year, but missed out on the final series and the grand final, and that hurt me a bit. But I went back home and trained really hard, and then went back to Brisbane in the pre-season and trained twice as hard there, and got where I wanted to be. And the year later, I was in that winning side, and wasn't just a stick-on player. I was one of the main players in the group as well.
It's obviously very difficult for a player in that situation. We had Derek Kicker to end up leaving the club and not going back to Essendon after it happened to him. Was that the driving force that really made you have an excellent season the next year?
Oh, definitely. You play footy all your life to play in finals, and hopefully one day in a grand final, and to miss out on that when you're a part of that team all year and part of the blokes that you played with, and that was very hard. And I wanted to go home at the end of that. I hadn't played the reserves all year, and that last game for me against Sydney was, I thought was going to be my last game for the year, because I hadn't played any reserves, so I didn't qualify for the reserves grand final, for the reserve finals. But the club did something around that, so I could play footy still.
When they won the grand final, did you think that maybe your opportunity had passed to play in a grand final?
Yeah, it was a hard one. That one, I was sitting in the grandstand, and all the players' girlfriends were sitting there, and mum and dad and Chantel as well. And as soon as they saw him, when everyone just turned around and looked at me, and I was sort of they were waiting for me to do something. I didn't know what to do. So but I sort of just went downstairs and went with the boys. I was emergency anyway, so I was sort of still a part of it. Just didn't play on the ground, but just that motivated me more than anything. If that opportunity ever come again, that I wouldn't miss out on one. And a year later, I was lucky enough to play in it.
You finally got the opportunity to come home. Fremantle were very keen to get you. Have you settled in?
Yeah, really good. The club's great. Freo's a great club, and great bunch of blokes down there, and a good coaching staff, and everything's pretty professional. Professionally done, I've found nothing different compared to how Brisbane work, and it's just good to be home with the family and friends as well. You just kick back and give them a call, and if you want to get away from football, just go have a yarn with your uncles and aunties and your cousins and your family members, which is good.
You've played in a grand final and won a grand final at an early age. What goals are you setting yourself now? And some players, go worse after they've actually played in grand finals.
Yeah, well, main goal I think is just to have a steady good season with Freo. Just keep playing consistent football, and hopefully one day with the players we've got there, we can make a final series, and if not this year, but if not this year, next year would definitely be a chance.
I suppose you look at the differences between the two sides, Brisbane and Fremantle. Brisbane has probably the best midfield going around with the Bosses and the Lappins and Blacks. Are you finding it difficult at Fremantle at the moment, considering probably those guys would have been tagged before you? Are you getting the best tagger at the moment in the Freo side?
No, well, the first game, didn't get tagged, but on the weekend against Sydney, I got tagged against Brett Kirk. He ran with me, and Chris made a comment in the paper saying that Paul Hazelby, Belly and Pav should have bought me a drink after the game because they got most of the ball and I didn't get a touch. So, but, that's going to come. They're going to get tagged one day and I won't, and, hopefully that'll be my days on the field as well. But, it's exciting to see, myself, Hayes and, Belly there and Pav. We're still, me, Pav and Hayes are only 22 years old each, and you got young Andrew Brown and Byron Shammer to come up too, and there's such a young list that I reckon the club's going to be great in another 4 to 5 years.
Michael Voss, some of the players say that he's probably the best going round. You played with him. Have you got an opinion?
Oh, obviously, yeah. No, he is probably the best going around. He's a great player, but one of my oldest is Andrew McLeod as well, but it's pretty hard to separate them two. But playing with Voss, you can understand why he's such a great player. People only see what he does on the weekend on the field, and no one sees what he does off the field inside the gym where there's no one around. He works 110% every time he does something, and he's a good leader. He grabs the young kids around, and if they're not doing extra sessions, he'll go grab them and tell them to go do a boxing session with him and that. And he's just one of the best captains you could probably have, and that's why he's a great player.
Did you find it ironic that you actually started off as a Subiaco line and then found yourself as a Brisbane line? Did you think there was anything in that?
Yeah, no, yeah. When I got drafted, I was thinking, what's the old saying? Once a line, always a line. But it's not to say that now. I'm a docker now, but at the start, I thought that from Subiaco line to Brisbane line, the same sort of colour jumpers, and I've always been in the maroon and gold, and towards the end of the year was maroon, gold, and blues.
Des, it's always great to see you around the Subiaco Football Club. Do you think you might actually finish your career playing a few games back here?
Yeah, well, hopefully when I retire one day, if I don't retire from injury problems, retire just an old age or not form-wise.
You're thinking about that, yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. Another 10 to 12 years' time, I wouldn't mind coming back and finish my footy days off at Subiaco. It'd be great, yeah. Play 100 games for them would be good.
Des, I'm sure that Subiaco will have the number ready and laid out and waiting for you. Anytime you want to come back, I'm sure the door will be open. Thanks for talking to us.
No worries, thanks, mate.
Well, as we highlighted at the top of our coverage today, round 5 of the 2003 season sees something quite unique in modern-day WAFL football. Marty Atkins celebrating his 250th WAFL game. So we thought we'd come down to his place of employment down here at the Rockingham Police Station and catch up with the man himself. Well, 1989, Marty, it all started. What are your memories of your first season of WAFL football with the Bulldogs?
Yeah, obviously I've been around for 3 years with the club playing the Colts and reserves. And my 1 year sort of thing, I started in '88 and played in that first year. I actually did the pre-season with the club, but was advised maybe just to go back and play Colts, which I did. And then '89 I again showed up for the pre-season. Yeah, it was I suppose something which I thought was a privilege back then. As I said, I only just started playing football 5 or 6 years before. Tony Morley was my coach down at Kwinana where I started, and I had a reasonable season down at Kwinana, and he contacted Brian Sikatosco and they invited me up. So I went up there basically open-minded because I didn't really know much about football really. But yeah, and since then, just enjoyed the club, the atmosphere, the camaraderie with the mates you tend to get, and yeah, haven't looked back since.
Still a touch of the English accent. How old when you actually migrated to Australia?
I was 13, yeah. I migrated out in 1983, so 13 years old, and I must admit at first, when Mum told me we were emigrating from going to Australia, I didn't really accept it because I was into my soccer pretty well, seriously, and but once I sat down and thought about it, I thought, well, let's give it a bash. I came out here, soccer was nothing over here, there wasn't no glory, there wasn't, the competition wasn't the standard that we're used to in England, so I didn't carry on playing soccer. I just sat around out in Baldivis riding horses and stuff like that. And then it wasn't until my mates asked me at Kwinana to come down and help out down there that I decided that maybe football might be the go.
How did you cope initially? Obviously a very physical game, Australian rules football, having grown up in virtually a non-contact sport largely. as soccer is played. How did you make that sort of adjustment at that age?
I don't know. They basically just wanted me down there because I was a high jumper and they were lacking big men. So I couldn't tell you how I kicked first up. Maybe you should ask a few of my mates. I don't know how I handballed, but I knew that I just had to jump and tap it to one of my mates. Physically, I don't know. I think soccer puts you in good stead, really, for football, because with soccer you're told to keep your balance and hold yourself over the pill. And I think, you know, when it goes to footy, it's basically the same things that you need to stay on your feet and hold yourself over the ball. So in that sense, I didn't think it was that hard. The physical side didn't worry me. As I said, it was just trying to pick up these skills.
Well, we notice you do still use the soccer skills a fair bit. I reckon of all the players in the league, you probably soccer the ball more often than most. Is that just something that happens automatically for you?
Yeah, I think it just comes naturally, and I think the boys will tell you that I'm not one for being able to touch my toes too easily. And the way that I look at it is, if I'm chasing the pill and I've got to slow down to bend down and pick the bill up, there's a fair chance that the person chasing me or coming in from whichever angle is going to tackle me. So it's a lot more natural for me just to soccer it in front of me, to keep it in front, and then just hope I get one of those lovely bounces so I don't have to bend down. But it's come good. I'd say 99% of the time it's been pretty effective. There have been occasions when it hasn't been effective, like the first state game I played, but I remember chasing the ball there and doing a big windy, and it bounced straight back to the bloke who was following me, and he ran off and kicked the goal. So I was actually thinking about changing it then, but yeah, it's just something that's natural and you just do because you know how to do it, that's all.
Now, I've interviewed a lot of ruckmen in my time. You've played a lot at centre-half back, centre-half forward, but you have a lot of spells in the ruck. I'm normally used to looking up to ruckmen when I interview them. Obviously, the spring's important for you because you're not overly endowed with height like many of the ruckmen in the competition.
No, I mean, if I had my football career again, I mean, there's not many things I could change, but if I could be maybe 2 inches, 3 inches taller, I think then maybe I would have hopefully established myself as a ruckman permanently. Unfortunately for me, I love rucking. It's most probably my favourite position. But when you've got 6'5", 6'6", 7 guys in your team, you know that they're going to ruck. So the benefit for me, though, is that I can play in other positions, and I suppose that's most probably why I've stayed in the competition as long as I have, because I have my versatility. And yeah, the jump, it's handy because jumping you have to learn also to protect yourself, and that's basically how I've been able to ruck for so long. Although this year haven't even had a look in this year, so with Ricky Mott down there and Adam Hay, so it's been good, and I do enjoy it. But as I said, at the moment with the side we've got, I'll play anywhere.
250 games is a terrific milestone. There's not that many players throughout history that notch up that many, but if you stop to consider that you could well be the last player in the WAFL to ever post 250 club games?
Yeah, a few people have spoke to me about the 250 achievement, and obviously it's a thing that you don't really think about when you first start playing football. And I suppose the real effects of playing 250 won't hit me until maybe after I've finished. I agree I could be. It is a fair bit of commitment you have to show to play 250. And also, I suppose I have to thank the AFL clubs, because if they had picked me up, you'd never have been able to do this. I think what people have got to realise is that the AFL isn't a be-all, end-all. You can make a pretty good career out of playing WAFL football at a very, very good standard of football. Whether I'd be the last, I don't know. I'd hope that over the last couple of years, people have seen that the WAFL competition's picked up. The players that clubs are recruiting are getting better and better, and hopefully in the years to come, the competition will be seen and will get a lot better, and maybe people will then choose, especially the ages around 24, 25, that they all stick around and stay with the club rather than maybe chasing money in the bush.
Just finally, 14-year footy career and almost the same amount of time in the police force. You mentioned you enjoy working with the youth in your current job. Is it a benefit having that football background? I mean, the profile certainly isn't as great in the WAFL as it used to be, but I'd imagine it would still be handy for you dealing with the youth around the community.
Yeah, I suppose when you've been playing football for 14 years, people do tend to know you. Basically, I look after about 30 schools in the area, and a day doesn't go past where kids come up and talk to me about football. To start with, being 6'3" and fairly fit seems to help when you're dealing with kids, and I do tend to deal with some troubled kids. So it's good that they don't want to fight me, and it's good that they don't want to run away from me, so they have to talk to me. But yeah, it's worked hand in hand, and I suppose I've been lucky that the police department has allowed me to continue to play football. but I think that they realise that the profile that they get out of me playing football is beneficial to them, and really and truly football and police have worked hand in hand, and basically given me good careers in both, so I'm thankful to both.
So Marty Atkins, game number 250, and 9 more games he needs to be the outright record holder in the history of the South Fremantle Football Club. Don't forget our game day ball competition running throughout each of the home and away games in season 2003, as we congratulate our winner from last weekend, who was South Fremantle captain in 2002, the same man who's captain today, Di Galt. One of she's related to David Galt, wearing number 41 for South Fremantle, but congratulations to Di out in York. If you want to win today's game day ball in game number 250, and Phil Lamb is pointing to the football budget, saying that David Galt does hail from York, so perhaps that's how Di knew the answer.
So it's a fair chance.
Who is the new Swan District's coach? He'd be pretty happy at half-time here. 1900 999 220. 1900 999 220. Speaking of the game day ball, Rod Willett's got one of them in his possession down on the boundary. Rodney.
Thanks very much, Glenn. And yes, Ron Boucher is the 2003 legend for Swan Districts. And I didn't play much against Ron, but he was probably one of the biggest mongrels going round when I was playing him. And Gary Sidebottom, I think they were the two feared players then, but he certainly could bring the crowd to the game. And Glenn, my next guest at the moment is another big bloke that's got a son playing out today, Peter Johnson. Peter, welcome to the show. And you young fella's getting a few kicks and brought Swans back into the game.
Yes, he quite enjoys playing into the ruck, and I think he feels a bit like a caged lion wandering around in the forward line. But yeah, he loves it. Once he gets in the open ground and can run, he loves doing all that. Yeah.
Now, Peter, you're over here for 10 days with your wife, Karen, and the family.
Yes, yeah, we're over here on a quick holiday to come and see Paul, and mainly to give the kids a bit of a break away from over there. Yeah.
So has he changed much? Has he got bigger or anything since you left him about 6 months ago?
Has he changed? Oh, yes. He's probably put on about 5 kilos and grown a couple of inches compared to when he left home. He has really filled out, yeah.
And it's a big occasion for your family because some of the kids actually haven't travelled away from Melbourne before?
No, my eldest son, Robert, he's 20-odd. He's never flown, and Kelly's never flown before, so they were a bit taken aback when the plane took off, but now they're right now for when they trip home. But I don't think they want to go home either. They're like Paul. They'd rather stay here, I think.
So 10 days is the normal for parents. 10 days because you can get about 2 or 3 games in or something, and it'll be excellent.
That's the way it is, yeah. We worked out when we could get 2 games in, and we can't get one with. Well, if he ever gets to the West Coast, we won't be able to get that. But while he's playing for Swans, yeah, no problem. We get 3 in actually.
How's he feeling about his footy? Is he happy with his football? Is he happy with the club? Is he looking to play Eagles very shortly?
I think he's pretty happy the way he's playing. He's getting a lot of good feedback from the Eagles, but I don't think it worries him whether he's in there now or it's in there in 10 weeks' time. He just loves to play football, so that's the whole idea of the thing anyway. But yeah. No.
Now, he was certainly a standout in the 18s carnival over there. I was there myself, and was he reluctant to come over west into the west when he got drafted? Was there any fear? Did he want to stay home?
No. Out of all the interstate clubs, he loved Perth. Yeah, so he was very happy to come here. He had no second thoughts about it at all. The only thing now is he says he's not coming home ever again, so so he must be doing all right over here then.
So there was plenty of encouragement from the family and yourself to go ahead and have a crack?
Yes. Oh, yes, yeah. Everything all our children do, we all get behind and support them, and they do the same to each other, yeah.
Well, we certainly love him playing in the WAFL. He's certainly a very exciting player and a great a talent ahead of him. And enjoy your time in Perth. It's a great place. And thanks for coming down and having a chat to us.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm quite enjoying it. And so are the kids. And the weather's great. It beats Melbourne. It was 6 degrees when we left there. So thanks very much.
Thanks, Peter.
Peter Johnson down there, whose son Paul saw a bit of the footy, especially in that second quarter. Don't forget our ABC football website for the WAFL, our tipping competition. That's the address you need to go to. You could win a corporate box for you and your friends at the WAFL Grand Final. And come Monday, you'll be able to see any of the halftime at the footy interviews that you may have missed from any of our Saturday afternoon telecasts. The man of the moment, Marty Atkins, game number 250. His South Fremantle teammates that have seen a bit of the ball in the opening half. Andrew Sieg at 13 possessions. North likewise. Jones with 12 and 10 apiece too. Marty himself and Daniel Gilmore. And the leading possession getter for Swans, Shane Barros with 13. 11 to Liam Casson. 10 apiece to Waters and Munro. Ricky Mott urging on the Bulldogs in the centre square. They trail by 3 points. Brilliant sunshine greeting the players as the second half gets underway here at Bassendean. Mott palms it down, but Souths can't initially get it. They do now through Byrne, a hurried left footer across the body, but it's pretty much ill-directed. It's marked by Munro, who swings play to the member's side because he should have done better. Then he's wrapped up in the Jones tackle, gave it to Slater, back in turn then to Thompson, left footer towards half forward. Hansen brings it to ground. Chance here for Jones, little giveaway, hand pass in, the kick out of bounds on the full. Really spraying on that occasion, Jamie Graham.
Nearly came in here, Glenn.
Yes.
I would have grabbed it.
Wouldn't have given you a possession for it.
I would have been all over Glenn Mitchell.
Phil, if you remember last week, South Fremantle were very slow in the first half, but when they come out after half-time, they really stepped up, and I'm interested to see if they can do the same today.
Munro with the footy at the moment, wearing the one glove. I wouldn't think you'd really need to wear a glove in conditions like this, but perhaps it's just a superstition for Kane Munro. He's played some games with the Eagles in the AFL. It's not a very AFL-looking kick. He returns the favour. He too puts it out of bounds on the full.
Ross was telling him where to kick that. We were right next to him then, so that's why he put it out in the full.
Yes, well, Ross from our crew would be very helpful. Be better off giving chess directions than football skill bits. Now the kick back into towards the centre of the ground. Munro can make amends. This time he opts to go by hand. Oh, De Courcy's kick. Brilliantly smothered by Hutchison. Byrne gets the spillage. Hand pass to Ugle. Souths are away. Well-weighted kick. Atkins takes the chest mark. That was a well-executed kick by Ugle. He saw that Atkins was lurking behind his opponent. Marty now goes long and high to the top of the goal square. Gilmore. Well, he actually marked that, I reckon, when he was back on the ground. He mistimed his leap. Never took his eyes off the ball. You see there, he's at his greatest extension. And he's actually on the ground. He actually pushed his opponent down with hands on the shoulders. But there was no doubt there that he went up, came down, and then took the mark. Should be able to kick the goal. Dead in front, man on the mark at the top of the goal square. And Gilmore pops it through for his second. South Fremantle back in front, 2 minutes into the second half.
Well, I hear you oohing and ahhing there, Phil. I think you probably thought that he
Well, what is the rule there? I mean, he put his hands on his shoulders.
And he launched himself in the air with his hands on his shoulders, and he was up far too early. The umpire was in a very good position, and you probably would have thought he would have paid a free kick there.
Had he not marked it, it would have been a definite free kick.
But it doesn't matter if he does mark it. If he gets to take the mark illegally, as we see there, I mean, he does take the mark, but he certainly did infringe before he took the mark. A lot of double handling errors by both sides, and a lot of players not getting first possession when they go for the football.
So Gilmore has the goal. There's Johnson. Awkward bounce again. Mott caught underneath it, so he swats it, but straight down to the centre circle. Barros was waiting there, almost as if he expected it. Spirals a torpedo punt up toward full forward. Edmonds chips a hand pass off. Here's Hansen. Check side kick from one step. This is going to be close. Goal umpire having a close look. Hansen thinks it's through. Goal umpire agrees with him. So quick reply, and since about the 10-minute mark of the second quarter, we really have had a seesawing game as far as the lead has been concerned, Wayne.
And we have, and certainly Paul Johnson going into the ruck has released Travis Edmonds to play up forward for most of the game, which I think is benefiting Swan Districts, and worked himself well onto the ball there, able to give off a little handball to Ashley Hansen, and in South Australia they call it a check side kick, and managed to just scrape in for a goal.
Has been a pretty good duel, that one between Hansen and Jamie Graham. Hansen with the 2 goals, however. Johnson winning the knock, sharking it there is Ugle. Let's look at his disposal on this occasion. The last one found Marty Atkins. This one does on the second attempt as well. Well, the Swan District supporters in the McDonald's stand not happy with that decision, but I'm quite sure that Marty Atkins had a first touch. Let's have a look at it in replay. Yep.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that, Phil.
Kelderman really has had his hands full, and then in frustration, lucky not to give away a 50-metre penalty. Atkins has let Swan Districts off the hook on a few occasions with his kicking at goal, but not so on this occasion. Marty Atkins, well, this could turn out to be a memorable 250th game. High standard match, terrific seesawing affair on the scoreboard, and Marty Atkins at last, from I think about 2 or 3 attempts, has got his first.
Well, there's no doubt that Stephen Kelderman has had his hands certainly full with Marty Atkins. Very strong in the air, Marty. And I was speaking to somebody at half-time. We were talking about Marty's kicking ability. He is much better when he's well balanced and he's got time, even in general play, and he kicks the ball quite accurately. But if his body's slightly turning or he's slightly off balance, he normally has a great hook on it. But on that occasion, straight through the middle.
Well, remarkably, the last 4 scoring shots, 4 goals by each team, have changed the lead. So 8 changes of the lead since about the midway point of the second quarter. Hutchison taken in a tackle, dragged to ground, and we'll have another bounce. As we mentioned earlier in our coverage today, Todd Menegola, one of the South Fremantle assistant coaches, taking over today with John Northey, the regular coach, his wife ill. If we go back to 2001 in the AFL, Chris Connolly sat in one day for an ill Peter Schwab, and the game was decided by a kick by Hawthorn's Ben Dixon after the siren. And we might see something similar today with a caretaker coach, because it's trading goals at either end, and with each goal that's kicked, the lead is going from one team to the other. Griffin with the footy at right half back for Swans. Gets very close to the man on the mark, Atkins. As a result, he's kicked it very high. Bounced off the shoulder of Hansen. Plays over the top of it. Waters did well to slap it wide of the pack, but Hutchison there. Bootsma spilled it. Kicked into the body of Anderson. Ricochets to Hansen. Sweeps a hand pass over the top. Opportunity for Waters. Takes a bounce. Hand passes infield. Ball gathered here by Swan Districts. The shot on goal by Slater. Yeah. And he's put it through. And we've got another change of lead. 9 consecutive scoring shots, 9 changes in the leader here at Bassendean Oval. Swans back out by 3.
Well, great pressure by Swan, certainly on the outer wing there, and a great smother by Brady Anderson there on the far wing enables Swans, and it's terrific to see a 1%er creating a forward thrust into your forward line. But they had numbers around the football as well, and that man Glenn Waters again getting on the end of the football, putting a handball into the arms of Drew Slater, and 2 former East Fremantle players combining.
Yes, he's been a good player as well. There's Johnson running at it, but beaten to it by Mott. Sharking it is DeCourcy, defensive side of the centre circle, goes out toward right half forward. Diving effort by Eads was sensational. Right along on the elbows, Eads hugged that to his chest. That was a very good mark. Brilliant sunshine here at Bassendean Oval. Perfect conditions for football, as good as we've had in this season. Goes up towards the pocket. Well, surely it's a free kick, not paid. Swan District supporters can't believe it. Bursting away now is Galt. South Fremantle lucky to get away with that one. Back up towards centre wing. High fly down there is Webb, not paid. He's dispossessed. It really is willing football now here at Bassendean. DeCourcy got it off to Griffin. Looks up forward, kicks them inside 50. Graham in front of Hansen, couldn't control it. Off the deck goes Bootsma, a wild kick. Reading it beautifully in front was Ugle, but even Ugle making mistakes now. Fumbled what he certainly should have taken. Defensive hand pass goes to Tinsley. Now the clearing kick. Back out to left half back, and finding space out there is Gilmore. Kicked the first goal of this third quarter. Now he steadies with the kick towards centre wing. That's a good overhead attempt again by Webb. He's called to play on. Got away from Griffin. Now support comes from Jones. Jones long striding, takes a bounce and then goes with a long kick toward full forward. Atkins stumped away by Kelderman. That was a lot better. Here's Thompson, recruited from West Perth. He's got Johnson all on his own at half-back. Beautiful foot pass to Slater. He's busy. So too DeCourcy. Long hand pass. Hansen takes it on the half volley. Controlled it well. The big man had to get down to it. Now DeCourcy again. Looking there for Edmonds. He didn't get down to it at all well. Tinsley goes back and after it again. Waters is there doggedly. The ball close to the boundary line, and Jamie Graham quite happy to get up and in a tackle, walk the ball over. Plenty of feeling in this match, and it certainly is in the balance. Now 9 changes of the lead since, what was it, Glenn, midway through that second quarter.
It's the 23-minute mark of the second. Ball thrown in, Mott wins it down over the back, then tries to soccer it away. Slater, desperation. Oh, Hansen's given it away. Straight to Tapua Manameri. This could be costly. Ugle on the end of the hand pass. Kicks it up to the outer wing. Hansen had his back turned to play, but he's able to get the ball nonetheless. What's the decision? Oh, thought he was in the act of kicking when he was tackled then. But a free kick nonetheless to Gilmore, who can put Souths deep in their attacking half. Gilmore, from almost a stand start, powerful kick, covers 50 metres. Mark dropped back there by Johnson, slapped on the ground by Kestel. Atkins over the footy, loses it though in favour of Munro. Hand pass indiscriminate, goes in now and applies body pressure. This is Thornton. Was he taken high? The umpire says yes. Free kick to Scott Thornton in the shadows of the McDonald stand. South Fremantle trailing by 3 points as they did at half-time. 2 goals apiece in the opening 10 minutes of the third term. The kick over the head of Mott. Socket out of mid-air then by Barros, but luck's a fortune for Souths. It lands in the waiting arms of Bootsma. Brad Bootsma in game number 124 for the Bulldogs. Unloads with the spiral torpedo. Out comes Atkins. Muscles the ball to ground. Going back in defence, Griffin concedes a force behind.
Both teams at the moment, Phil, just trying to get the ascendancy. It's pretty tight. Both sides willing in the contest.
South Fremantle's skills seem to have dropped away terribly.
Kane Munro at the moment with the football in the back pocket in the goal square. Goes for distance. Now Marty Atkins is in this with Kelderman. Atkins has been the master so far, but Kelderman with the punch. Gives the run of the football to Cornelius. All he needs to do now is pick it up, getting a lot of pressure from Jones. 2 Swan Districts players collide, but Slater did well. He just had his eyes on the footy, got a possession and gets it off to Barros. The left footer looking for Hanson, bounced off his chest. Graham is with him again. And again, Jamie Graham really worrying Hanson, worried him out of that contest and forced the error. Although it was one that he shouldn't have made.
Should have taken that quite easily.
Some of those skill errors that Rod Willett was talking about, not just confined to South Fremantle. There's Ricky Mott, perhaps starting to feel the pinch. It's warm and humid here at Bassendean Oval. Mott won it, shark by Cornelius. Got a hurried kick, but it went straight up in the air. Mott and Edmonds come together. Thompson was number 17. DeCourcy's hand pass. Found Brady Anderson, who's been a bit quiet. Gives it to Cornelius. Kick was a blind one, and Tinsley, well, that was a difficult one with the sun in his eyes, but he stood his ground well. Switches play to the outer side of the ground. He's got a man free out there. Gilmore shares it with Tapua Mantameri. And he finds Ugle. So Ugle now starting to get pretty busy. Harris is the man assigned to him in this third term. Ugle into the pocket. From behind was Webb, got a hand into it. Griffin was there. So too that man, Damien Casson. He was dispossessed, but Kestel's there. Had a quiet game, but he relieves pressure with a good clearing kick. Close to the boundary line, well, clearing in the sense that he made good distance, but Ugle was there. That was a rather clumsy error. Should have controlled it, and he would be disappointed with that effort.
He was off and running with the ball before he even had possession.
So boundary throwing on the outer side of the ground. Again, it's Mott and Johnson who have got to the contest. Haven't seen Stockton for a while. Johnson wins it, and the umpire will throw it in again almost at the same spot. So rather thought-provoking match, there's no doubt about that, and refreshments called for this afternoon. It is warm here at Bassendean.
And Brady Anderson for Swans running with James Byrne of South Fremantle now, and both players at this point in time not having a huge influence on the game.
Mott, I should say, with a left arm fist up towards half forward for Souths, tracking the ball back defensively. Munro breaking the tackle back there. Slater, Anderson to DeCourcy, needs to be quick. Hutchison closed him down, but he got it across the Waters, who wanted to give it to Barros, then decided against it. Goes with the left footer. Edmonds coming out from half forward, couldn't take the mark. Tinsley tried to swat it away. Now he goes in. Edmonds clever, taps it along the ground to Barros. Free kick. Going against Edmonds, but diving over the top of Tinsley in his endeavour to fist it away. Not all the crowd in agreement with the umpire. Sean Tinsley, the free kick at right half back for the Bulldogs. South Fremantle trailing by 2 points. Let's have a look at the replay here. Well, he did roll over him, but perhaps the umpire could have kept the whistle down. The play goes on. Atkins, as he so often does, soccers it off the ground, and it's out of bounds in the shadow of the McDonald stand. Quite a story, Marty Atkins. Didn't come to Western Australia from England until about 13 years of age, and when he didn't get involved in Australian football to the age of 15, and here he is today playing his 250th game of WAFL League footy. Edmonds up high, clean possession. Clucas couldn't control it. Whoa, Marty Atkins, like a Phil Lamb tee shot on a Saturday morning at Lake Carrinup. a swing and a miss. And the pack develops and will have a bounce at right half forward for the Bulldogs.
That hurt. Fortunately, that didn't.
That would have done some damage.
It certainly would have.
You would think that's in danger, though, wouldn't you?
Well, Cornelius, didn't quite have the right angle, but his head couldn't have been far away from it. Marty Atkins, well, it's his day, perhaps, think the umpires. Thompson sharking it. Wobbles a kick up towards centre wing. Hanson beaten by the bounce. Not so Slater. Clean ball handler. Gave it to Hanson from one step. Puts it up very, very high. To poor man Mary down there. With him was Waters, socking it off the ground and out of mid-air. Well, the players are making an art form of that these days. That one came from Amato. Here's a chance, though, now for Swan Districts. Driving the ball up towards the full forward zone. Mark's been taken. Swan District Casson. Liam Casson has taken some very good marks. He's kicked a couple of goals. Getting up rather gingerly. With a grimace on his face. Now, Tapua Mandamary's gone to ground. There was his tackle on Casson, and Tinsley came in late as well. Casson, I'm quite sure, will be able to take his stick when you're that close to goal. You don't give them up too often. So Casson, from 3 attempts, has got 2 goals, 1, but you can see that he has been busy as a half forward, a real live wire, and 3 goals. 15 and a half minutes into the third quarter will be a very good return from this player. Coming from West Perth with his brother, Damien, who's playing well in defence this afternoon. Both of them looking for better things in their career. Well, that was a more solid bump than we may have thought. He is quite shaken up, and that was one that he would not ordinarily have missed.
I need an eraser. I'd already put that down for a goal. Unfortunately, a real bad miss in a very important time of the game.
Kick back into play by Tinsley. Mark dropped there by South Fremantle. He follows up, though, Jones. Now Byrne. Hand pass out wide. Bootsman with the left foot. Clears from left half back. Clucas down there with Cornelius. Ball comes to ground. Cornelius well tackled by Clucas. Hand passes away. Gilmore soccers it along to his own advantage. Then arches the back, gets away from a lunging Edmonds. High kick inside 50. Webb takes the mark. Ryan Webb, who in his 110-odd games at West Perth was used at both ends of the ground, often would play a half at full-back and another half at full forward. And he's marked here about 30 metres out, directly in front. And this to give South Fremantle the lead once again.
And this will be an 11-point turnaround run at Glen, because it's come straight down from the other end of the ground where there was an easy miss.
This for the 10th change of lead in the last 25 minutes of football. Umpire makes ground, but he has snuck it home. Goal to Ryan Webb. He gets his 3rd, so he's the game high scorer, and he puts the Bulldogs back in front.
Well, it's a good return for a half-forward flanker. Ryan Webb sitting across that half-forward line, making himself available. Certainly, he's quite well balanced and quite strong in the air. His opponent, Griffin, on that occasion got under the football, and unfortunately, when you're running back with a flight and you take your eyes off the ball to see where your opponent is, very difficult to get back onto the football and put a spoil on. And Ryan Webb had no troubles in marking that ball.
3 straight, a good conversion rate. Mott easily wins the knock. Who'll get first possession? Beros goes in hard, eyes only for the footy, floats the ball just outside, or didn't quite clear the centre square. Slater was in there, couldn't gather it. Hutchison missed with his socket attempt. Amato was in there on his hands and knees. This is a scrambly bit of play. The umpire, I'm sure, will come and sort that out with a bounce.
And Amato in a bit of trouble beside the pack. Picks himself up, holding his ribs, it looks like.
That's a solid one, and he's just gasping for some air at the moment. Play resumes, undeterred. Well, Mott won it, but it was taken by Liam Casson. A high kick, a rather awkward one to take. Hanson was up there, fired himself forward. To poor man and Mary, got it to Tinsley. Now Galt soccers the ball out into open spaces. Running onto it there is Gilmore, and a deflection off the hands of Casson. As we see Amato coming from the ground, spectators really enthralled in this match.
It might actually be his forearm, or the way he's holding his left arm limply across his body.
So perhaps a forearm injury, but Amato coming from the ground. Play continuing the outer side of the ground. Seagate. He worked his way through the pack and gave it to Bottrell, a free-running Tommy Bottrell, who drives it to centre half forward. Thornton had it fisted away from him through the legs of Marty Atkins, much-travelled legs. Paddles it, though, cleverly for his teammate in Bottrell. They've combined a lot over the years. Bottrell goes with a long bomb on goal. Swan Districts had the numbers. Well, I don't know if they could have marked it on the goal line or not. Perhaps it was always going to carry as Amato goes straight into the rooms. And there's Ryan Webb, but a minus score to South Fremantle.
Kick into play, members side. Damien Casson marks and plays on. Tries to weight the kick over the head of Jones to get it to De Courcy. Well, he did that, but De Courcy couldn't take the mark. Kestel under pressure. Very quick kick. Slater can go over the top if he wants to either Edmonds or De Courcy or Barros. He chooses the latter, and Barros marks. Swan's flooding forward down the left side of the ground. Here's De Courcy. He loves this on the run. From 45 and closing, Swans are back in front. De Courcy, who twice has led the goal kicking at Bassendean, gets his second of the afternoon. And this shootout and seesawing scoreboard game continues. Swans out by 2 points.
Well, that was terrific play by Swansea. Just classic, bringing the ball from defence, right from the full back line, down the outer side, through cross half back and through the wing, and just through sheer running. De Courcy was the player really that got involved across half back and then worked his way across each line, the wing and then half forward, and was on the receiving end to kick through a beautiful goal.
You can be sure that Craig De Courcy won't stop running. He's got great reserves of stamina. Now 2 goals to his name makes him a valuable player this afternoon. In a very, very entertaining match, Mott just out-rucking Edmonds, but irrespective of that, taken by Brady Anderson, just clears the centre square. Bootsman goes back into the fray, tried to swat it clear, but it hit the shins of Hanson. Tapua Mandamiri, now Galt, and now Bootsma. Will he be favoured by the bounce? Draw Jones cleverly, I think it was intended, tapped the ball into the path of Bootsma. Away he goes. He got a good shepherd there from Adams. Bootsma draws a player. Now Webb's on the end of the hand pass. Thought about a hand pass himself, but now kicks from just outside 50. Won't quite make the distance. Off hands. Kluke is trying to do something miraculous there, but it was always going to be a force behind. South Fremantle, a quick transference of play from centre half back. And a lot of crowd involvement in this match this afternoon. Not surprisingly, it's a very, very good match.
And a good crowd getting involved too. No live AFL telecast in Perth this afternoon, so the public coming out and watching some WAFL football firsthand. Casson emerging from the shadows, calling for the ball deep in the members' back pocket. That's ignored, and the kick by Munro comes members' side. Kelderman almost spoiled his own teammate Edmonds. That allowed Seeger to clean possession at the back. 2-on-1 for Souths back there, but doing well in front. Munro, though, takes it out of play. And we'll have a boundary throw in deep at right full forward for the Bulldogs. Richmond coming on the ground for Swan Districts, replacing De Courcy, who kicked their last goal a moment ago. Ball thrown in. Ugle almost stole it away in front. Barros heads back towards the boundary line, tumbles it end on end. And the umpire says that's okay, throw it back in. 23 minutes travel, a 1-point ball game. Swans trailed by 16 at quarter time as De Courcy, having just kicked his second goal, walks the boundary. Swans led by 3 then at half time, and they now lead by 1. Edmonds and Mott winning it forward for South. Barros flung to ground like a rag doll. Going through now is Edmonds, and he's content to see the ball trickle in advance of him over the boundary line. Important dying stages of this third quarter. Both teams would like to take the momentum into the 3-quarter time huddle. Atkins worked Edmonds under the ball. Barros goes back, takes it through for a force behind, and scores a level at Bassendean Oval. 10-5-65 Swans. Souths are 9-11-65.
Dying stages of the third quarter, a very entertaining one. 23.5 minutes have gone. Scores are even, and Swan Districts need to go the full distance of Bassendean Oval. There's a lead from Harris, a half-hearted one. Munro chips it to himself and runs into the pocket. Driving kick, there's plenty of distance in that one. Up went Kelderman, got a fist to it. Hutchison in front position. Hand pass in hope more than anything else. Swatting the ball away there was Harris. Chance though for Hutchison once more. Wobbles a kick in towards centre half forward. Jones, star last week. He's been steady this afternoon. Goes up towards Marty Atkins using the body. Ugles there. Close to goal. He's a danger man. Threads the hand pass through to Atkins. Overrunning it there was Kestel. Dives on the ball again. Now a chance for Webb. He goes to ground under a tackle. A good effort down there by Casson as well. That was Damien Casson to dispossess Webb, and the ball will be thrown into play. So desperation stakes now for Swan Districts. They really do need to hold South Fremantle out down here. There's Kestel, very, very desperate. Well, all players desperate. Webb taken in a tackle. Back live now as the ball after that ruck contest is shunted straight toward the boundary line once again. Gilmore's been a damaging player for South Fremantle. Sometimes his pace, his long striding and penetrating kicking is a damaging weapon. Harris manning him. Meanwhile, it's Mott who punches the ball toward the boundary line. Casson pushed off his kick. Goes in after it again. In fact, he might have been taken a bit high. Griffin's in there as well. Close to the boundary line. Harris, Griffin, both of them just desperately working the ball towards the white line, and they do it effectively. Barros came in late. There's Griffin. Shoveling it between legs. Harris. Well, they did it effectively enough. It wasn't pretty to watch, but Edmonds doing the ruck work. Gilmore took the ball over the line, so both of these sides almost looking as though they're content, Wayne, to just run down the clock.
Well, it's a bit of an arm wrestle, Phil. There's no doubt about that, as we see a happy fan. But, yeah, both teams, Swans know it's important that they don't let South score here.
Mott and Edmonds getting into the action. Webb. Mott tried to hack the ball off the ground. And once more, the umpire's very, very busy in the dying stages of this third quarter. Umpire will be forced to come in and officiate once again.
So another stagnant period here at right full forward for the Bulldogs. 65 points apiece.
Come on, Griff. Come on, Griff.
Mott, creative palm down to Clucas. Claimed. Hand pass along the ground. And now a throw is it being called? And a free kick going the way of the Bulldogs. Matty Clucas. Let's have a look in replay. Griffin. Yeah, that is a rugby pass. I don't think there was a fist in that.
Jeez, I'd have to question that, Mitch.
He'll emerge from the shadows here, Clucas. Any score will put the Bulldogs in front, and he's given them the maximum. A six-pointer. Clucas's first of the afternoon, and South Fremantle take the lead by that goal, and we've played nearly 27 minutes in the third term.
Well, there's no doubt that that is an important kick at this stage of the game, and unfortunately it has come about by an umpiring decision, which I think the umpire got wrong. He handballed the ball, and the umpire was in a very good position, and I'm probably 250 metres away, and I could see that he handballed that, and it's disappointing that an umpire some 10 metres away can't judge that correctly.
Yes, Dwayne Griffin was very animated in his objection, but nothing he could do it once the decision had been made. Good leap by Edmonds, didn't get a clear knock away. Tommy Bottrell wore one in the face. Here's Damien Casson bursting away from the centre of the ground. Straight down the corridors, the way to go for Swan Districts if they want to snatch back the lead or at least tie again. Tinsley with a clearing kick. A spiral torpedo punch landed out on the bank. Both sides making mistakes this afternoon, but it has been full of pressure. Tinsley trying to cover the leads. Casson, this is Liam Casson. Goes into the pocket. Hanson was on the lead. It cleared him. Byrne was back there, rather casual. Slater with him now to Puamanda Mary. Got up to Tinsley. Hand passes off again to Byrne. Steadies, looks downfield, and that's a good-looking kick to Gilmore, who didn't let him down overhead either. There's the clock. Over 28 minutes have gone. South Fremantle playing possession football down the outer side of the ground. Ugle got it from Gilmore. Now he gives it to Bootsma. Swan Districts have got it tightened up, or they'll concede another goal. Bootsma with a driving kick. Good-looking one to centre half forward. Mott was taken under the footy, or Webb it was rather. Griffin behind the play. That's stupid. Well, Tommy Bottrell will be able to tell you all about that one. Griffin just was undisciplined there. I know he's frustrated from probably the previous decision, but he's only now exacerbating the initial error. Bottrell too far out to score, but this is danger signs now for Swan Districts because they really need to get back and defend grimly.
Terrible, especially when they had breakers on the half-forward flank, Swan Districts, and an undisciplined act.
The Bottrell kick from 65 metres straight to the goal square. South Fremantle have got some tall timber down there. That's Paid? No. Play on. Barros threads a hand pass away to Munro. Swan District's out of trouble. Here's Harris. They really do need to move the ball quickly. The Harris kick goes up towards centre wing. Over the top of Hanson and Graham. No kick. Atkins got it to James Byrne. Byrne now to the half-forward flank. Oh, that's loose play by Swan District's. Thornton has it. I think the South Fremantle players realise that the siren is about to go. Or does Thornton? Takes a bit of time. Kicks the ball into the pocket. Mike out in front. Paid, yes.
Free kick.
Paid the kick, did he?
Yes, paid the free kick.
I thought not steadied it enough in any case to be awarded the mark. We'll see it in replay, Blackie. Yeah, over the shoulder. And then in the back. So for so much of this third quarter, the score has either seesawed or been level pegging, and now South Fremantle in the dying stages have a chance. 30 minutes about to tick over, and South Fremantle have a chance to extend their lead to 2 goals, and that's going to be a very handy lead in the context of this match going into the final quarter. The conditions have been sapping. Mott kicks at goal from about 48. Good looking effort. South Fremantle have the goal through Ricky Mott, and some undisciplined football in the latter parts of this quarter have enabled South Fremantle to get that very important break.
Well, extremely disappointing. Swans have worked extremely hard to maintain their attack on the football and on their opponent, South Fremantle. It's been a seesawing battle. Unfortunately, we could have seen a situation where the game would have been all tied up when Swans were breaking through Shane Barros. They had breakers out on the half-forward flank, loose players, and behind play, Dwayne Griffin gave away an undisciplined free kick, and I'm quite amazed that he's actually still out on the ground.
12 points the margin now. Atkins in the ruck, opposed to Edmonds, 2 200-game veterans. Anderson puts Swans to half-forward. Backing himself is Graham. Then he grubbers it. He needs a boundary line. Yep, he's pulled up very sore. Now the ball is gathered by Liam Casson. Can he kick his 3rd goal? Steps inside. We're right on 3/4 time. This is Slater. Back towards Liam Casson. Can Swans get a mark? Flying late will be Richmond. In front, Bootsma. Ball off hands. Opportunity for Souths to clear. Tinsley under pressure. Gets it across to the members' side. Meanwhile, there's Jamie Graham in all sorts of discomfort. Damien Casson gathers as he squeezed the score. He has just got it inside the behind post, but that is a very sick and sorry Jamie Graham. It was either done a quad or a right groin, and well, he's not going to be seen any more of today and mightn't be around for the next few weeks. That's a bad loss for South Fremantle, but Swans getting a behind. They close to within 11 points. As we have a look at Graham a moment ago, looking to clear the ball. There he is, and he kicks and bang, pulls up sore immediately, and unfortunately is now being carried off the ground.
South Fremantle through Tinsley with a prodigious kick up towards centre half-back. Over the top, Kestel fisted it to the front of the pack, but waiting there was Byrne. Steadies with a well-weighted pass to the middle of the ground, and Newgall's taken it. Runners outside. One of them is Thornton. He called for it, puts himself on offer, and he's taken the mark. Well, he could have gone on with it. Waits now until he gets a lead. It came from Mott, chipping in front of him. Swan District's defender as the siren goes to end a classic third quarter here at Bassendean Oval, but South Fremantle just getting the break as tragedy for them. Graham goes into the rooms. We won't be seeing him again, but it's 3/4 time. South Fremantle 11-11, 77, leads Swan Districts 10-6, 66. And there is Dwayne Griffin on screen there. He's a man who played a part in that third quarter, both good and bad, but unfortunately toward the end just made a few errors that could be costly for Swan Districts as we see the goal scorers to 3/4 time.
The lead changed 7 times in that quarter, and 1 time they were dead level. At the end, 11-point lead to South. 2 goals apiece to Swans, De Courcy, Hanson and Liam Casson. 3 to Ryan Webb for the Bulldogs, and 2 to the raking left foot of Daniel Gilmore. So Swan Districts at the moment undefeated this season. 2 wins and a draw. South Fremantle 3 wins from 3 starts. Unless there is a draw, one of these teams are going to suffer their first defeat of the year. A lot of people flowing onto the ground to listen to the respective coaches, one of whom is an acting coach today. That's the Swans huddle with Steve Turner, and there is Todd Menegola. And Chris Connolly in the foreground, the Fremantle AFL coach there. But Todd Menegola, I'm not too sure how long before bounce down today, he was notified that John Northey was going to be spending time with his ill wife. So John Northey, a coach of 4 AFL clubs and in his 2nd year with the South Fremantle Football Club, not at Bassendean Oval today. But Chris Connolly out there. having a listen to Todd Menegola. Chris Connolly, of course, will be calling the shots for Fremantle against the Kangaroos tomorrow at Subiaco Oval. And there's Steve Turner, yet to concede premiership points. Well, he did concede 2, I guess, in the draw first up down at Busselton. Just have a little bit of a listen to Steve Turner, the Swan District's coach.
So we've got to lift that tempo a little bit higher, okay? We've got to take them all off, all right? It's still our options that are costing us, okay? Things that we should be doing, we're hesitating, we're picking the right options, or the wrong options, all right? We've got to look forward a lot quicker than what we are, okay? We need run, we need discipline, we need this switched on, all right? We've got plenty of run left in our legs, all right? So suck it in. Where's the board?
So Steve Turner confident, saying he still feels his team has plenty of run left in the legs. There's Chris Connolly at the adjacent huddle, listening to the stand-in coach, Todd Menegola. A lot of thoughts, no doubt, going through Chris Connolly's mind, as they are through Marty Atkins. Game number 250. And if you want to be the winner of one of the game day balls being used in this game, as Di Gold did last week when she correctly told us that Marty Atkins, not only the captain this year of the Bulldogs, but also the skipper last year. And if you want to win today's game day ball on offer out here at Bassendean Oval, the number to call 1900 999 220. You can tell us who the new coach of Swan Districts is. Well, we've just given you plenty of opportunity to answer that one correctly. Having a listen to that said gentleman addressing the three-quarter time huddle here at Bassendean Oval. On Monday, a split round being the Easter long weekend will be at Lathlane Park when the Demons take on the Falcons. Perth versus West Perth live around Western Australia from 2 o'clock on Monday. Quarter by quarter scores here this afternoon. South Fremantle took a 16-point lead into the first change when they held Swans to just 1 goal in the opening term. But then Swans turned the tables to lead by 3 at the half, but they now trail by 11 going into the final quarter. Terrific day for football. It threatened earlier. Chris Connolly out there having a bit of a hand pass at the moment. A very talented footballer of the Melbourne club who was restricted by a succession of knee injuries and unfortunately never realised his potential as a player. And who knows what potential he will realise as a coach. Speaking of coaches, there's Earl Spalding, formerly the coach of East Fremantle and a premiership player with Carlton in 1995. And as I understand it, Earl's doing some specialist coaching work down at the Fremantle Dockers with Chris Connolly. We'll go down very shortly to Rod Willett, but before that, in a couple of words, Blackie, will the Bulldogs hold on or will Swans have a late hurrah?
Well, I think probably with their experience and just the fact that they got on top just towards the end there. And they only got on top because of the errors by Swan District's players. Liam Casson had an opportunity to tie the game. He missed a certain goal. Up the other end, they kicked the goal, and the second goal, they ended up getting a undisciplined free kick.
Let's go down to Rod Willett with the man who no doubt has some butterflies, Todd Menegola.
Todd, as the new coach for today, you must be unhappy with the skills of South Fremantle at the moment.
Yeah, we've just played a bit short. We should have gone. We've got some tall players, and we've just gone a bit short and tried to make something out of nothing at different stages, which has hurt us.
Bombing away to your tall forwards doesn't seem to be working. Can you get a leader out of there?
Oh, I think Marty's given us a good contest up there, and when we've gone direct and gone quickly, I think we've given him opportunities, and we've done not too bad. But you know, if you don't move the ball quickly, Rod, the forwards haven't got much hope.
Is it fun being the senior coach?
Well, only for the day, mate. Hopefully, Swoop will be back in the chair next week, and you know, basically all I've done is coach to his team plan, and we haven't changed anything. So, yep, no problem.
Thanks very much, Todd. You heard from the other coach. He's pretty keen, Steve Turner, at the moment. He thinks that if we're going to be a good side, we've got to win against good teams.
Centre bounce, last quarter underway. South Fremantle leading by 11 points. Heavily congested centre square. And we'll have another bounce, which gives us an opportunity to tell you that Shane Barros is the leading possession getter. The Swan Districts and leading possession getter on the ground. 20 disposals to three-quarter time. 17 to his teammate Munro. 16 to Liam Casson, who's also kicked 2 goals. We'll give you some Bulldogs stats winners in a moment as Joel Cornelius gets a quick kick diagonally for Swans towards right half forward. Coming out and rather casually attempting to meet the ball as Waters, but he gets it back. Hand pass to Anderson. Anderson short. Swans have numbers here, 4 on 2, one of whom can paddle the ball to his own advantage. Harris, into the shadows he goes. Pressure applied just in the nick of time, and it's enough to see the ball go off the outside of the boot and out of bounds on the full. A good chase there by David Galt. The leading South Fremantle possession winners to three-quarter time. Byrne and Gilmore with 16 apiece, 15 to Seagate and Jones.
I think, or I hope, that Harris tried to centre that, but Gold has it now on the defensive 50. Right at left half back, goes up towards Gilmore. And Gilmore still in the shadows as McDonald Stan has taken the mark. Swan Districts need to make the most of their opportunities in this final quarter. They didn't really with that first sortie forward. Tinsley has it. Almost up on centre wing. He kicks over the wing now. Atkins was on a lead. Awkward one for him to take. Kelderman using some body work. Now Anderson was slung to the ground and the ball released from his grasp but goes over. Marty Atkins, will he be celebrating a win in his 250th game? Well, we'll know within half an hour. Sometimes milestones have a habit of backfiring. Hopefully not for Marty's sake this afternoon. Johnson won it down to Munro, thought about a hand pass. Now he straightens up with a kick, looking there for Hanson. Lands at his feet and then bounces on his chest. Dispossessed by Thornton. And those two almost put out, two lookalikes almost fighting out a tame draw on that occasion. Hanson was indicating to the bench that he may have a bit of a problem.
I think he's struggling with cramp at the moment.
So that's not good news for Swan Districts. Their centre half forward starting to cramp up. Mott works the ball down to the front of the pack, has a second go at it. Johnson, his opponent in that ruck duel, might just get the crumbs here. Seagett's with him. He's taken in a tackle, got a hand pass away. Chris Connell will be looking on at Seagett's form this afternoon, of course. Thompson almost had it taken off him by Gilmore, but he couldn't control it, and a boundary throw will take place on centre wing.
Glenn, for those people at home, Jamie Graham did do a quad pretty badly. He was in a lot of pain. And also John Northey has turned up during the third quarter. He's up in the box now.
Phil, you mentioned that Anthony Seagate will be having, or watching him closely today, will be Chris Connolly. Will probably be watching the outcome of the tribunal during the week as well. Andrew Seagate, I should say, is on report for a first quarter incident for striking. The ball here for Swan Districts and a free kick paid. They're allowed the advantage. Slater can go on with it. Hand passes to Eads, who's been quiet today from 45 metres. He pushes it to the near side. The opening score of the final term are behind. Swan Districts pulled to within 10 points of South Fremantle 3.5 minutes into the final term.
Wayne, the worst aspect of this is that, you know, they've worked hard to get forward, had a couple of opportunities, and they've only got one behind for it.
I was about to say, and both opportunities have been wide on the boundary line, and on both occasions I don't think they tried to work the ball to the corridor.
Tinsley sending the ball back toward the boundary line. That's good defensive work, and looking also for Mott. Well, he was a certainty in that contest. Mott getting on with it quickly up towards centre wing. Johnson had Jones to beat. That wasn't easy. It was a good contest by Jones, but now Johnson's back into it. Lacks support. Seagate off the ground. Clucas is there. Controlled it pretty well. Now Seagate is on the burst. In the way is Hampson. Hutchison gets it out to Bottrell. Good slick hand pass to Jones. He's clear, the youngster. Works his way through the traffic. He ran a long way, but he shoots on goal. That one away to the left-hand side as well. Just didn't get it to work off the left boot. John Northey, as we heard, is back in action, back in the box, and there he is, an onlooker for this final quarter here at Bassendean Oval. No doubt would have been watching our telecast from home.
John Northey has coached 4 AFL clubs, Brisbane, Richmond, Sydney and Melbourne, and took the Demons in the late 80s to a grand final. Kane Munro. The restart play. Behind the piece in the opening 5 minutes of this last quarter. Munro comes members side. Kelderman the target, through his hands, he got up high. Gilmore the crumbs, sweeps a hand pass to the ruckman Mott, couldn't gather on the half volley, taps it inside 50 though for South Fremantle. Back there in defence, Thompson gives a hand pass to Beros at 20 possessions to three-quarter time. Damien Casson tries to run away from Atkins, kicks it high towards right half forward. Bootsby used the body well opposed to Slater. Hand pass misses the target, and now he's taken his eyes off the ball back there in defence. That South Fremantle player Surgeon will keep it in play though. Thornton the bootsman would have been better off kicking it. Eads is there. He would have been better off hand passing initially when he thought about it. This is very untidy football. Tapua Mantameri short to the heart of the ground. Bottrell's got players breaking to the outer wing. One of them, Hutchison, takes the mark. Next week he'll play his 100th game. He's played on. Had Byrne inside him. Didn't want to use that option. Goes to full forward, and pulling down the mark is Ryan Webb. How many errors can you have in one passage of play, Wayne Blackwell?
Well, how many errors can you have for the whole game? There's been just continual turnovers. It's amazing how many players take their eyes off the football when they go to gain possession and they think they can get it on the second attempt and they can't.
You mentioned Ashley Hansen was cramping up. He's actually just come from the ground and been replaced by Paul Stockton. They may miss Hansen's height across half forward in this last quarter, as now Eads is coming off the ground for Swans as well, to be replaced by Wes Kestel. But all eyes on Ryan Webb, the former 100 gamer for West Perth. In his first season with South Fremantle, stabs at it, but he stabs it straight. And the Bulldogs pull further away. 4 goals to Ryan Webb and a dozen to South Fremantle.
And once again, disappointing from the Swan District's point of view, having the ball up inside their offensive 50 and just an undisciplined not giving off the football when there's a player to be used. Players deciding to hold on to the football, they get tackled, they turn the ball over, it goes down the other end and puts the backman under enormous pressure, and they have a goal scored against them. Just exactly what Swans didn't need to do. They need to get back to that running using the first option.
Swan District's desperately in need of a goal. Johnson out-rucked by Mott. The ball comes to Brady Anderson, gets a hurried kick, didn't travel the required distance. Jones was in there for South Fremantle. Now to Corsi with a clearing hand pass. Still the ball in dispute. Diving on it there, I think, was Anderson once again. Now Adams, interesting hand pass. Going after it there was Harris for Swan Districts. Well, he won possession, then was dispossessed. De Corsi off the deck, kicks it high inside 50 once again. Overrunning the football down there was Wes Kestel. Awkward bounce, and it eludes he and Boots were in the end and goes over the line once more. Brad Boots was played at both ends of the ground. The crowd here this afternoon, they come in numbers and they really have witnessed a very close game. There's been sunshine and something for everyone.
The Swan Districts ones aren't very happy with the umpire though, Phil.
Well, when are they ever, Spinner? Waters was taken to ground. Byrne, well, just in time, I think, was able to work the ball at the back door to Mott. A hurried kick toward the boundary line. Hutchison's there. Concedes that De Corsi's going to get it, and De Corsi goes to Johnson. He just goes with a short pass, but once again, Swan District's missing their mark. Byrne to Mott, who fumbles, and together they conspire to work the ball over the line and out of bounds. Well, Swan Districts having their share of the ball inside 50, but just unable to convert. The last quarter will disappear very, very quickly. Already nearly 8.5 minutes have gone.
If they concede the next goal, the game will be over. If it slips to a 23-point margin in favour of Souths, Mott wins it down. Jones waited, so he found an opportunity, and that came in the shape of the pacey Thornton. One bounce off half back. Good use of the footy and a good mark. Webb already kicked 4 goals. He's beyond his range on this occasion. He's marked well outside 50. Plays on by hand to Ugle. Ugle sets it up deep towards the goal square. Hay traps it well on the half volley. Pulls it back from an impossible angle, and it proves just that. But an important behind, because it now gives South Fremantle an even 18 or 3-goal lead. So Swans need to score 4 goals to win, having kicked 10 to this point of the game.
Been impressed with Ryan Webb's game today, Phil. I mean, he's kicked 4, but he's also taken quite a few marks across half forward.
Good strong marks. There's Damien Casson on a lead. Munro elects to kick the ball to himself. Gets around Hay. So Munro with a bounce, kicks the ball up towards centre wing, gets good distance. Edmonds is there with Mott. Line ball between the 2 big men. Harris read the crumbs nicely. Here's a chance, a good set up for Swan Districts. They've got some space. Glenn Waters, couple of bounces up to right half forward. He's got to hurry now. Tapua Mandamira giving chase, but the Waters kick is inch perfect.
It was a torpedo.
It was a reverse torpedo.
It was a reverse torpedo off the instep almost, but on the end of it, importantly, was Drew Slater. And he will shoot a goal from only about 30-35 metres. They really do need this one. Slater with 1 to his credit. But they desperately need this, the black and whites, to stay in this game and perhaps give them some momentum. Slater shoots. That has gone gun barrel straight. Great finish by Drew Slater. That will give them some confidence, Wayne, because that was the sort of setup down the ground, using the ball a lot better, finding their teammates, and the finish was just what they needed.
And all started with Kane Munro, who took on his opponent at full back, got around him quite easily, got that extra yardage and was able to kick long to Travis Edmonds, and they just had players at the fall of Travis, and they used the ball very well. They kicked the ball accurately, and it was a terrific setup with Waters running the ball into the forward line and saw his option. I'm not sure whether he was actually trying to do a inside-out torpedo, but it got to its mark, Phil, and that's all that counts.
Wes Kestel off for Swans, Richmond on, and he's going across to a half-back flank by the look of it. Ball bounce. Edmonds with a big fist knocks it towards half-forward for Swans. Intercepted, though, out there by Jones. Hand pass to Kluge, or Bootsma under pressure. Hack develops. Oh, high tackle against Mott. Just giving one under the ear in the end. A Slater, the goal scorer. He goes to Edmonds, who collapses to his knees. And the veteran ruckman is marked at centre half-forward for Swan Districts. It's a 2-goal game at the moment. The Bulldogs in front. Edmonds goes towards Johnson on the lead. Too much carry on the kick. At the back, a chance for Souths through Jones. Grubbers a left footer to the outer flank, and the ball will go out. No. Slater, yes, it does. Slater trying to fool the umpire, but the boundary umpire on the job, saying it went over the chalk. Healthy crowd here today by modern-day WAFL standards, and they're watching a closely fought game.
About 3,000 people, Glenn, I've got from the turnstile guys.
That's not bad, given the nature of WAFL support nowadays. You're watching two undefeated teams, albeit that Swans have had a draw. But one of them, unless there's another draw, is going to suffer their first defeat of the season. It will come in round 5. Ball thrown in. Mott, big round arm right. Good play by Slater. Gathers his feet and then kicks a little check side inside 50. Bootsma took his eyes off it. Coming out Tinsley, fists it away. Chance for the Sandover medalist Anderson. Back across the body. Not taken low down there by Stockton. Tapua Mary avoids the collisions. Takes a bounce. Takes a second. It doesn't come back. Doesn't panic though. Well-weighted hand pass to Seagate, and he can go for a run down the outer wing. 2 bounces. 3 bounces. No one's coming towards him. From 55, guides it into the pocket. Lunging attempt to mark down there. Doesn't come off. Flinging himself was Byrne. Didn't get a hand on it. And it's gone through for a behind, much to the disgust, as you can see, of James Byrne.
So again, the margin back to 13 points. Munro, who's been the designated kicker in for most of the day, goes short and finds Damien Casson. Wasting no time, kicking it into the man on the mark. Now he's going to be forced to switch play. Casson, or is he? No, he gets a hand pass, or does he get a hand pass onto Griffin? He's under a lot of pressure. Ball sits up nicely for him. Miskicks completely, and it goes to Ricky Mott from one step. Mott tumbles the ball back towards full forward. Hay put a hand up. Here's Byrne at the back of the pack. Could stab a goal. No, he can't drag it back far enough. And Burns extends the lead to 14 points.
Well, just terrible skill errors by both sides today, really, on such a perfect day for football.
Kane Munro has done a fair bit of kicking back into play after behinds today. Souths have had their fair share, 15 of them. Munro this time, for the first time today, opts to play on out of the goal square. Goes high and wide with the left footer. Seagate opposed to Edmonds. Edmonds fell over. Seagate remained upright. Charges away again. One bounce. Draws to within 50. Squaring kick. Byrne at the fall. Takes the mark. He missed with a snapshot 30 seconds ago. This time the set shot from 45 dead in front. And you fancy that if he guides this one home with his 18th disposal, it could put South Fremantle beyond Swan District's reach. Nearly 15 minutes travelled in the last quarter. Not a high-scoring game given the weather conditions. And this to extend the lead to 20 points. James Byrne, 24 games with the Adelaide Crows, and also captain Glenelg in the SA NFL competition in his first season with the South Fremantle club. And from 45 metres, as he guided it in, teammates in the goal square like it. Souths by 20 points. Byrne, second of the afternoon.
Well, a good effort, a good return for James Byrne, who started the game extremely well, but has worn Brady Anderson for most of the game, and both players sort of nullifying each other. But disappointing when you play on from full back as did Kane Munro. You've got to actually find a target. He ended up kicking to a 50-50 contest, which South were able to gain possession, and they had loose blokes, and one of those blokes being burned in the middle of the ground.
Yes, I think the man that he kicked it to was Seagate, whose strength and stamina is really coming to the fore in the latter part of this match. Here goes Seagate again. He read that knock from Mott beautifully. A good aggressive play. Gets the hand pass to Ugle from right on the 50. Ugle kicks to the goal square. Was that touched? It was. Kelderman just got a knuckle to it. But South Fremantle just finishing stronger at the moment. They're doing all of the attacking in Swan districts. Well, the ball too often for them is at the wrong end of the ground.
Kelderman inbounds. Gives it to Munro. Swans need to get a wriggle on. 16 minutes played in the final term. The margin 21 points. Munro back across the goal mouth. Thompson unguarded. Now they break down the far side. On the outer wing. Didn't really even have to break stride, Harris. He's marked. Wrong foot's Marty Atkins. Now comes back to centre half forward. Edmonds the lead, third in line. Ball on the ground. Chance there for Adams. Hand pass to Bottrell. Bottrell to Tinsley. South Fremantle's half-back line resolute. And now they go round the outer wing. Opportunity for Ryan Webb. Goes up towards full forward. And the mark taken by Hay. He'll shoot on goal from almost the exact position that James Byrne goaled from a few minutes ago. Adam Hay, not a high stat day for him, just coming in for his 4th disposal. He spent some time on the bench. On that occasion, too strong overhead for Stephen Kelderman. Adam Hay for his first score of the afternoon. It's applauded in the goal square again. Looks like the Bulldogs are going to be 4 from 4.
Well, not a big day for Adam Hay, but certainly finishing off with a goal to his name. They've done it pretty well, South. They've had the 3 big men on the ground at some stage. They've rotated them through the bench, through the ruck and up forward. They've had the luxury of having Marty Atkins, who's played, other than the first, I suppose, 10 or 15 minutes, predominantly at centre half forward. But certainly Mott and Hay have been able to rotate between ruck and that full forward position.
And again, Ryan Webb playing a part in that goal, getting the ball down quickly. It was good delivery to Adam Hay. So Mott still in ruck, has done a power of work in that regard this afternoon. Off the ground, Bottrell against South Fremantle had the momentum forward. Taken by Webb this time. He tries to drag it across his body, goes very high into the pocket. Kelderman beaten by the bounce. In fact, they're all beaten by the bounce. South Fremantle have it deep in their right full forward pocket, and there is confirmation that Jamie Graham has sustained something of a quad injury. Getting it iced up at the moment. So that is not good news for South Fremantle. Hopefully the prognosis is such that he'll be back in football within a few weeks. Marty Atkins will be celebrating tonight. 250 games, winning the knock to the edge of the 10-metre square. Hay was in there again. Here's a chance. Gilmore slung off the footy and dispossessed. Kestel needed support and really should have been feeding a hand pass out to Munro. The ball smothered off the boot, and South Fremantle, well, they really are doing it all right at the moment. Just the little things and the bigger things as well, Wayne.
But why wouldn't Kestel handball to Kane Munro running past? I mean, that's just a lay down misère. Give it off, and Munro had time to release the ball 40 metres up the ground.
It was certainly on. Atkins is in there. He's got a couple to beat. Kestel over the top, but at the front of the pack was Klukas, who's kicked the ball into the post. Started very brightly. Hasn't had the game that I thought he was going to have, Matty Klukas.
Well, he's had a player in Joel, good player in Joel Cornelius running with him, who's closed him down pretty much after that first quarter.
Munro looking for options. The South Fremantle forwards are playing a zone on the kick-in. Kane Munro, 12 games with the Eagles, none of them this season. Harris takes the mark. It's close to the man on the mark. It's it very high as a result, and the tallest man in the pack, Mott, an uncontested mark. Hand passes to Adams. Adams high inside 50. Griffin the fist from behind for Swans. Unable to gather off the ground, Richmond, supported by Griffin, but he hand passes directly to Webb. Webb to Adams, rides the Richmond bump, put him off. Harris marks and runs off half-back. Almost got dragged down by Ugle. Comes wide. They need the boundary line, Swans, but it's not going to get there. Mott gathers on the bounce. Back onto his right foot. That's dangerous. Kicking back the centre half-back. Doesn't come off. Waters to Liam Casson to full forward. Stockton couldn't take the mark. In fact, it's Johnson down there when the ball out of play. I think he might have had his time over again. He wouldn't have kicked the ball back into the corridor. Lucky not to concede a score. 28-point margin to South Fremantle at the moment. Looks like they're going to win their 4th game from 4 attempts as Travis Edmonds is coming off the ground and Ashley Hansen, who cramped up earlier in this final quarter, coming back on. Of course, he taken in a standing tackle and will have a bounce not far out from Swan District's goal. But alas for them, that goal mouth has only seen 1 goal 1 kicked this quarter, while they've conceded 3 goals 6.
So deep in Swan District's attacking zone. Here's Johnson, snaps on goal, and I think he's put it through a miraculous goal. The big man, he certainly has got ability, and that's why the West Coast Eagles recruited him. Well done to Johnson, all the way from Dandenong, and that was a great solo effort. Well, Swan District's perhaps, Blackie, it's not too late yet.
Oh, no, I think it definitely is too late, Phil. Okay. But a great consolation goal. And he has been using the ruck. I actually would have liked, I know Stockton's in the middle now, but I still would have liked to see him stay there a bit longer. I just thought that they held a bit of an ascendancy in those ruck contests, and they started to get a lot more ball from the clearance, from the stoppages with clearances. And, yeah, just when he's gone back there, unfortunately, just hasn't had enough ball delivered down to him.
Thanks a lot, Blackie. Almost deafened by the sound of people turning their televisions off. Ball back in the middle. I reckon they've still got time. 1 down by Mott. They go forward again. Cornelius, or in fact it was Richmond, trying to get a hand pass away. Swans have some numbers here if they can extricate the ball. Well done by Barros. Gives it to Richmond. High kick out wide. Coming out to Corsi. Good chest mark. Too far out to score. Swans need to be clinical here if they're to have any hope. Chips it inside. 50. Johnson, who snapped the last one, can take a more comfortable set shot on this occasion. He led Thornton to the contest. He's a strong man, a big man, and a good overhead mark. For Swans to have any chance, as remote as it is, 22.5 minutes into the last quarter, Paul Johnson must goal. In just his 4th game for Swan Districts, bends it home. He gets 2 in a row, Swans 2 in a row, and perhaps a glimmer of hope that they can maintain their unbeaten start to season 2003.
Well, a glimmer of hope, yes. We'll concede there's a glimmer of hope now, Glenn. I mean, South Fremantle just seemed to me, although they've kicked the last 2, their clearance work from the middle of the ground, they've just seemed to have the runners pushing forward. With probably 5 or 6 minutes to go. I mean, it's still important for Swans to finish.
Goals. Yep.
Well, they do, and even if they don't get them, Phil, it's important that they finish off, to know that they just don't get blown away by sides. Not that they're being blown away, but just to finish off with the last 2 or 3 goals. And I think Steve Turner would be pretty happy with that.
So 9 goals for the season for Paul Johnson, so he is going to be a very, very important player for Swan Districts, and maybe we'll even see him in West Coast Eagles colours this season. Here's the chance for Harris, still showing plenty of pace. Well done from the centre wing, goes up high to centre half forward. Spectacular leap by DeCourcy, unsuccessful. Thornton hit the contest hard, but here's Johnson again. Shrugs 1 tackle. Can he kick another miraculous goal? I think not, but he has scored. Swan Districts within 15 points, doing all of the attacking. I think there's confirmation, Wayne, that they're not going to stop.
No, I mean, as I said, they do. They really need to finish the game off. Important to just keep pushing forward. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, percentage is an important thing, and they certainly need to ensure that South don't kick goals, but they finish off with 2 or 3 goals.
Tinsley to bring it back into play. Needs to find a target, or at least a 50-50 contest. Hansen will fly from the back. Gilmore got a fist on it. Through barges Richmond. Hand pass to DeCourcy. He's got a player inside in Barros, but he got to go outside. Waters underground. Gathered by Slater. Snaps a goal. Well, Swans could be back in the contest. They move to within 9 points. Slater kicking his 3rd goal. He's got them all in the second half and perhaps gives Swans a chance to pinch it.
Well, and being a very good player, the former East Fremantle player in Drew Slater, certainly made himself busy across half forward. He's a very tenacious player, likes getting in and under, and didn't panic there, even though the ball didn't get to him on the full, just waited for the ball to come to him, had an awareness that he probably had someone behind him, 1 or 2 steps without holding onto the ball too long, and curled the ball round nicely.
25 minutes have gone in the final quarter. Swan Districts, well, the contract is simple. They need the next one.
Well, the lead's been reduced from 28 points now to 9.
Slater in the centre of the ground, had it momentarily. The whistle's gone, and the umpire will repeat the ball up.
Win, lose or draw, though, Steve Turner will take a fair bit from this last quarter.
No question about that. It has been a very, very good match as far as the nature of the contest is concerned. Not a great bounce. 1-0 by Stockton. The ball in dispute. This is an important possession. Well, Bootsman got it. Here's a chance for Byrne. Taken away from him. Good effort there by Cornelius. Swan Districts now running at goal once more. Harris has got plenty of toe. Holds onto the ball. Now he's run too far. No, he hasn't. He got away with it. Kicks the ball to centre half forward, and Adams is in the way. Swan Districts needed to be on the end of that one. Adams relieves pressure and finds his man. Andrew Seagate has been very important this afternoon, and perhaps even more important as the game has worn on. Clokus. South Fremantle now will be content to retain possession. Gilmore.
Young Harris probably just held onto the ball too long. He had options up the field, and he should have released the ball a bit earlier.
Certainly had a head of steam up. There's the Gilmore kick, and as usual, very, very accurate. And Ryan Webb, who's playing a very good game, has kicked 4 goals this afternoon. Had a hand in a couple of others as well. Using his experience now just to steady things down. He goes from centre wing up towards the half-forward flank. Big fist from behind by Kane Munro. And the ball has been destroyed over the line and out of bounds. Well, now 27 minutes have gone. Swan Districts still in arrears by 9 points. Stockton to the front position. Mott from behind. Tapua Mandameri was there momentarily, but Cornelius for Swan Districts drives the ball up towards centre wing. South Fremantle had the numbers. Well, they had one too many up in the air. Good little poke there by Atkins. Tinsley was in there, so too Webb. It comes back via Clucas to Tinsley. Tired-looking kick, but he gets about 45 metres. Still the players hitting it very hard. Ricky Mott in particular. Munro. Now Stockton unloads a long kick. It's coming our way, but it bends back. Hanson's there. So too Tinsley. 2 tired players going at the footy. Boundary throw in centre wing.
You think the last hurrah here for Swans. They need to clear it from this contest and whisk it down the other end for a goal, and then do the same from a centre bounce, because time now is ebbing away. 28 minutes travelled. Right in front of our broadcast position, Gilmore flies and wins it down. Slater has had an outstanding second half, breaks the tackle, loops a high one to half forward. Coming across in front, Ugle. Clever bit of play there by Hanson to Beros. Left footer towards the goal square. Running back with the bouncing ball is Johnson. Is that deliberate? No, says the umpire, and the ball will be thrown in. Well, they must get a goal from this neutral ball contest. South's clear at this time. That will be the ball game. Ball tossed in. Johnson and Thornton. Atkins in front. The 250 gamer back towards the boundary line. Clever play by Richmond. Liam Casson out of play. Another throw-in. Clock does stop, though, when the ball is out of play. Our clock doesn't, but the timekeeper's clock does. The one that's counting down. Boundary throw in again. Atkins in front, wins it down. Beros there, kick blanketed off the boot. Great defence. Desperation by Kieran Ugle, putting his body on the line. And the ball again out of play, deep at left full forward for Swan Districts.
Desperate stakes here for Swan Districts. They need a score, not just a score, they need a major. Here's Casson, who's been a star, gave the ball up, holding the ball. Well, Casson thinks he just hadn't disposed of it legally. He is absolutely nonplussed. So too the Swan District supporters, particularly in the McDonald stand, but South Fremantle have cleared it. Bottrell got it off to Byrne, who's gone to ground.
Umpire said it came up above his knee, so it wasn't a legal disposal. A bit harsh when you're under pressure with a tackle. He was in the process of kicking.
He was attempting to kick.
Should have been play on.
So Byrne steadying things down, getting plenty of advice from Swan District supporters in that McDonald stand. Kicks it very high. DeCourcy marks on his chest. Swan Districts just need to move it forward. DeCourcy pushes off Clucas, runs to half forward, needs a long kick. It needs to hit the goal square. Who have they got down there? Just not enough numbers. Beros was the tallest player down there, and he had to contend with Atkins and Hutchison. South Fremantle easily able to force the ball through for a behind.
and could have probably ran about 10 metres closer to goal, I thought, there on that occasion to Corsi. I know he's got tired legs, and as you can see him, he's doubled up there, tired body. May not have got the distance anyway.
Tinsley with almost 28 of the 36 players in one half of the ground. Tinsley comes to a very congested half-back flank for South Fremantle. Off the shoulder of Hansen. Chance here if he can keep it in play. Waters. It won't stay in play. Intended for De Courcy, but it's over the line. 8-point ball game. 31 minutes gone. You'd have to think now that South Fremantle are home. Still a lot of players, as you'd expect. South Fremantle flooding back into defence, trying to bottle up any forward thrust by Swans. Tinsley knocks it down. Ugle there near the boundary line. Hutchison scoops it up, only as far as Anderson. Kick was touched off the boot, so no mark paid. Getting it back quickly, not to 15. Tinsley kicked it back quickly, but that's not 15 metres. The umpire making the right call. De Courcy claimed the mark, so too did all the Swan supporters. But I'm sure that didn't go 15 metres. Another bounce. Swans want to keep it alive. Cornelius may have been taken high. No whistle. Harris, snapshot on goal. Which way does it go? Big fly by Liam Casson. Tackle but not in possession. No whistle. Ball still in dispute. Liam Casson goes in another time. Held up on the ground. Will have a bounce. Well, an exciting dying stages here at Bassendean Oval. We're now 32 minutes in, and it's still the Bulldogs by 8 points.
Well, it certainly has been edge of the seat stuff. The crowd has enjoyed it. Last roll of the die for Swan Districts. Atkins in ruck, got a hand to it, fisting it toward the boundary line. There was Adams, but Sharking it stopped and kicks it very high, but across the face of goal. Hutchison runs underneath it. They're difficult to take, running in the same way as the flight of the footy, but he's marked it just inside the field of play.
Hope the timekeepers didn't go early when Blackie said the game was all over.
So Kingsley Hutchison, as we've mentioned, next week will play his 99th, I think. His 100th, does he, Glenn?
100th next week.
Up they go. Clucas close to the boundary line. South Fremantle out of trouble, or are they? It goes to Richmond. He does cleverly close to the boundary line. Now he's dispossessed. Giving him support was Thompson. Tried to work the ball back to Richmond, but the siren has gone. Exciting match at Bassendean Oval, our match of the day. But South Fremantle have prevailed and are undefeated. 14 goals, 17, 101. Look at the delight on their faces. 14 goals, 9, 93 Swan Districts. So the margin 8 points in the end in that man's 250th.
Yes, it won't be too long before some tired players elevate Marty Atkins to carry him off the ground. He's now 8 games away from drawing level the club record 258 by Tom Griliusic, an outstanding backman for South Fremantle over so many years, but if he remains injury-free in what he's already said will be his last season, Marty Atkins will retire as the most capped player in the history of the South Fremantle Football Club. Well, it was certainly in the balance late in his 250th game. One stage, Swans were trailing by 28 points. In the end, though, they've lost by just 8. So they've suffered their first defeat of the season following a draw and 2 wins. But certainly they have signalled that they're going to be a far bigger force than last year when they finished on the bottom of the WAFL ladder. Good crowd here today, in excess of 3,000 people. Let's go to the man of the moment, Marty Atkins, and his 250th, which has just concluded, is with Rod Willett.
Marty, I know you've been in the media all week, but we had to come and talk to you. You must have felt pretty secure when you punched that last one through the points and looked like you had the game wrapped up.
I don't know who was doing the time, mate, but it went well past 30 for the first time in my life, but the boys have been brilliant. You know, without them, I don't know where we'd be today. You know, we wanted 4 from 4 going into the game when we knew Swans would give us everything, but you know, the boys are fantastic and just good to have a win. You know, I can, you know, sit down and have a beer tonight and celebrate, so it's good.
You've been a great player over the years, and the respect from the Swan District side was fantastic. Just before we talked, everyone was coming up to you, fans, people, kids, you know, just wanting to get your autograph. It must make you feel very wholesome.
Oh, look, Swan Districts have been fantastic all week. Young Kelly in the office is she rang us up and she said, look, anything we can do, we can do. They've invited my family up and everything else. So to Swan Districts, thanks very much. And you know, today was a good game. We knew we were going to get a good one, and it's a credit to the Swans where they've come from last year. And you know, no doubt we're going to have a few more battles with them this year. So yeah, it's just good to have a win.
I'm sure it was a big build-up during the week. Were you, you know, you started the game in the ruck. Was that to sort of help with your nerves? Were you a bit nervous? How was the build-up for you?
Yeah, even at near on 34 and 240 odd games, you still get nervous, and you know, just trying to keep myself busy. Luckily, I've got two little girls, Monique and Jasmine, and they kept me really busy all morning. And you know, just to come here, relax, and just to get with the boys. And it was a big game. We just had to try and keep the hypes. You know, we wanted 4 points before we can celebrate, so it's good.
Did you think they were going to get over the top of you just at the end? They were looking pretty ominous.
No, I you know, even going to our fitness has been brilliant thanks to James Bridle, and you know, I thought even though once we got those couple of goals in front, I knew the boys knew what to do, and it was fantastic. So yeah, it's good.
You've been a great player over the years, mate. You deserve all the accolades you get. Congratulations.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Marty Atkins, 250 games, and the best way to celebrate a milestone is to be in a winning team, and no doubt shortly he'll be chaired off Bassendean Oval in a game that he will long remember. He was a member of the Premiership team in 1997. What a fairy tale it would be if he could captain the club to a Premiership in 2003, and what he's already announced will be his last year of WAFL football. Some tired men, but they're still going to take their skipper off the ground shoulder high, and why wouldn't they? A terrific performance today by the Bulldogs, inspired by a 250-game veteran, their skipper, Marty Atkins. Well, a very entertaining game. Let's have a look at the goal scorers here today at Bassendean Oval. 3 to Drew Slater. They all came in the second half for Swans. 2 apiece to De Courcy, Liam Casson and Hanson. The best on the ground, though, Ryan Webb of South Fremantle with 4 goals. And let's have a look now at the stats as we tick down to signing off here at Bassendean Oval this afternoon. So you can see there wasn't much in the general disposals, and that probably showed how Swan Districts fought out the game towards the full-time siren. In the end, South Fremantle 8 more penetrations inside their attacking 50, but as far as the general stats were concerned, not much in it from start to finish. But as we said, Wayne Blackwell, as far as Steve Turner's concerned, he wouldn't like to go away without any premiership points today, but for a team that won 1 out of 18 last year, this season, a draw against the triple defending champion East Perth, 2 wins, and a very credible performance today against a team which will be very much in contention in September.
I think Steve will be disappointed, but he can take an enormous amount of good work from this game. He'll certainly pick the positives. I suppose you reflect back on the game and you think about the importance of that miss by Liam Casson and the undisciplined act of Dwayne Griffin giving away that free kick. So really they had their chances, there's no doubt about that, but full credit to South. I think just at the end of that last quarter, they certainly had the legs, certainly from the midfield. Players like Seagate were very good driving the ball forward, and they held the ball up well just in those last couple of minutes to ensure that they won the game.
Shane Barros was the leading possession getter in the game today with 24 disposals for Swan Districts. De Courcy and Slater 21 apiece, 22 to Kane Munro, and for South their leading possession getters Byrne and Jones with 19, along with Gilmore, Tinsley with 18. As is tradition, you either play your first game or a milestone game, you get put in the middle when they sing the team song and get drenched by your teammates. And in the foreground there, Todd Menegola, who for the best part of 3 quarters today was actually the game day coach, with regular coach John Northey attending to his sick wife today. We trust that she is well, but Todd Menegola doing a terrific job at short notice. Well, this is a split round, of course, over Easter. We've still got 1 game to come on Monday, and you'll be able to see it live around Western Australia from 2 o'clock from Lathlane Park when the Demons are at home to the Falcons. Perth taking on West Perth. But today, the honours have gone to South Fremantle, who led at 3 of the 4 changes. They did trail by 3 points at half-time. So we have a look at the quarter-by-quarter scores. Just 1 goal to Swans in the first quarter. They trailed by 16. They're up by 3, as we said, at the half. They turned for home 11 points down. In the end, they were 28 points down midway through that final term. It drew as close as 8 upon the final siren. But South Fremantle, 4 wins from 4 starts in season 2003. You'd have to say, Wayne Blackwell, that they're going to be thereabouts, the Bulldogs, come September. After a disappointing season last year, they were 9-9 for the season and finished 6th.
Well, last year they certainly had the players, and they were a team that underperformed. There's no doubt about that. I think they've got some good inclusions this year, and they'll certainly be in the finals race.
And Swan Districts, have they surprised you, Phil Lamb, with the way they've started this season?
Well, I suppose they have, Glenn. I mean, coming off a very poor season last year, but they've got a lot of new players in there. I mean, you look at they've got Slater and Waters been there for a couple of years. The two Cassins, Webb. They've got some players. They've gone out and they've got good positional players who have come in and are holding them in good stead. Johnson, of course, in the ruck and up forward is going to be a good player for them this year. He's kicked 9 goals from their first 3 matches. So, yeah, they've obviously strengthened their lineup, and they're going to be, I would say, a force in the competition this year.
And for South Fremantle, Wayne, Ricky Mott, back from the Sydney Swans, 17 games in the AFL last season. He's going to be a man mountain to contend with for opposition teams throughout this home and away season.
He played well today, around the ground as well. I certainly liked his around the ground marking, and that's going to be an asset for South Fremantle. Yeah, I mean, disappointing, I think, for him not to be actually picked up at the end of last year after playing 17 games. I don't know what the reason therefore was.
He's going to be a force, though, in this competition.
Oh, absolutely. He's going to be very dominant. I mean, just to get round him, you know, he's about 8 axe handles wide. He really is.
And you're heading in the same direction.
Thanks for that.
Let's sign off now from Bassendean Oval. An 8-point win to South Fremantle. We'll see you on Monday from Laughlane Park.